Okay, I'd like to call the Commissioners' meeting for March 5th, 2014 to order. First item on the agenda is public input. Seeing no public input, let's look at the minutes of February 19th. I think on page 5, it should be added in there that it costs $900 to advertise.
The estimated cost is $900.
Well, that's not an estimated cost, right?
No, it was a real figure, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, we hadn't, my only concern was that we haven't been billed yet, so.
Okay.
Or approximately 900, and we
Okay.
can.
So, 3 paragraphs up from the bottom, where it says Sergeant Baker added that the county could still save $1,250 in startup fees if they sign the contract by Friday.
That's where you want the 900 to go?
Well,
I was going to put it up in the first paragraph where, I was going to put it after $27,000 in money and services. Just put-
yes, okay, that's a good place to put it.
Okay.
Cost to advertise
The RFP.
the RFP was approximately $900.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of February 19th
As amended.
as corrected or amended.
I'll second the motion. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, nay. Aye, so voted.
I think we have one set of non-publics. We might want to wait till the...
We need, yeah.
Yeah, we have some waiting from January 29.
Look at that when you get a chance. Deals with Hale's location.
Huh?
It deals with Hale's location. I'm not sure that we need to pay the $750 to make it available to. I think what they're looking at is making available, anybody can get on the internet to get tax information as to what people are paying in Hale's location. I just find that expensive for 150 people. I did sign it, but just take a quick look at it.
Okay. We don't have to answer right this minute? do we?
No.
I can't read all that fast.
You attended any meetings since the last?
Yeah, I attended the Farm Day meeting yesterday. We're looking at, I believe, July 26th. We're
Come right up.
in early planning stages, and there'll be more to come.
July 26th?
I believe so. The last Saturday in July.
Farm Day?
we came to a subcommittee meeting here with,
Oh, subcommittees, yeah.
I forget who they were, but
We had a subcommittee meeting with Representative Umberger regarding the commissioner's budget, the this administration building budget, capital reserves, and so forth. She has minutes that have been published, and there are cuts that were made in the HR budget. I think it was $1,000 in the HR budget.
one of the things, Mr. Chairman, I think that should happen, as you pointed out, when, I believe it was at Representative Umberger's meeting, that somebody said, we'll take $1,500 off it. If they want to take $1,500 off it, I think they're obligated to tell us where they want to take it off. And
Why they want to take it
off. Why and where.
Yeah.
And you made that point. They shouldn't just take it off and turn around and say to us, okay, now you figure it out. In fact, I believe we've put our
budget has been in.
If they want to make the corrections, it's their obligation to tell us where they want it cut.
Yeah. Anything else that?
I don't think we had any other meetings to go. I spent a good part of yesterday here working on a whole bunch of stuff. We'll be having the Time Warner phone man in here on the 12th of March.
Next week?
Huh?
Next week?
We've got to discuss what we're going to do about the audit.
Right. Can that come in the work session?
Yeah, that will. And I guess that's it.
Okay. Dominic, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to update on the K-9 program. I want to thank everybody that has supported the K-9 program and continues to support it. We have received a number of donations for medications for EDGE, and that has been a big help. Hasn't had to come out of the budget. Special thanks to Kindness Animal Hospital for discounted medical costs, and for Your Paws Only, who has supplied food for EDGE during the time, and also will continue to support the new K-9. So that's a
They
bonus.
supply all the food?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Really?
Dom, is there a place you make this public
Right here.
Yeah.
besides here?
We have, over the years, I think it's been in the
recognition they
paper,
deserve.
but we may put something out. I have told in the
Put something in the paper.
in the recent publications, there has been a little blurbs here and there, but we will.
Yeah.
And also Lupine has donated collars and leashes to EDGE and the new K-9 already also, so. EDGE's status is good. He continues to train and work with Corporal Purley. Really shows very little, if any, slowness or anything else, so we'll, keep him working as long as we can. We do have the new K-9 on board already. It's K-9 Chaos with a K. It's a 1-year-old female German Shepherd. She was tested by the program, which is Working Dog Foundation, who supplied the dog, and was determined to be a good fit for what we're looking for, and her ability right off seems to be good. She will be handled by Deputy George Stevens, who's been with the Sheriff's Office for about 7 years. And again, she's been begun training on Mondays with Deputy Stevens.
Where do they go for that?
Down in Portsmouth.
How many other dogs are there?
Oh boy, there's probably, I think about 12 or 15.
And is it for all state agencies?
Yep, and there's a couple from Maine and maybe Massachusetts also. Yep.
Is this dog spayed?
It will have to be. It
It
is
will
not
have to
yet,
be.
yes.
How old is it? How old is
It's
it?
1 year old.
1 year old. I thought they spaded within 6 months.
I,
Or less than a year.
not knowing, but I believe they don't spade working dogs initially because they want to show them to show the drivability, I think, so.
Oh, okay.
But the spading doesn't really tone that down too much to decrease it.
Why do they do it, Tom, if they get a breeding program going and they want certain qualities bred in these dogs and they get a good dog, they spay it?
Well, not knowing again, I believe the ones that they breed with, they keep those separate. They don't,
Okay.
give those out to departments. So, and this, you wouldn't want this, I mean, George has 2 other dogs at home. One is elderly, so he probably won't be around long. So yeah, you don't, if those dogs aren't spaded, you don't want this
Yeah.
to have puppies. So, that's where we're at with the canines at this point. They are both on board. Obviously, the new one isn't able to work. She will be riding around with George for the bonding that's necessary and getting used to the environment and the cruises. We have assigned the other expedition to George that the chief deputy had at one point, which is a fully marked expedition. At some point, we will remove the shell, the canine shell from Corporal Purley's vehicle into the new canine vehicle. So we won't be purchasing another canine unit shell.
Why wouldn't you just switch vehicle? Why wouldn't you just switch
Because that vehicle has over 100,000 miles on it. That was one of the ones that was slated to go this fall.
Oh.
Yeah, it just, it wouldn't be worthy to continue much longer with that vehicle.
So you're telling us that the canine cruiser can't be used for anything else except canine?
No, it does, it is with that inner shell that's inside it, it is able to transport one person. Prior to that, when the sheriff's office had canines, it was in the Crown Vics. And if you wanted to transport someone, it had to be in the front seat, which obviously is not safe. So they've kind of got away from the transport with cruises with canines. But this enables, there is a partition cage that the dog can't get the prisoner while it's in the back seat with them.
Only show him his teeth.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Does that cruiser put on the same amount of mileage as the others?
yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, because she has a signed area, serves papers. George will also have a signed area. Over the years, he may put in less because obviously he lives closer to Portsmouth than Corporal Purley did. She lived in
So,
Conway,
yeah, I was gonna ask you, where is George?
He
Where's
lives
his
on the Wakefield, Milton area.
Wakefield?
Yeah. Actually, in the town of Milton is where he lives.
Mhm.
So she will be trained, the new dog will be trained in drug detection and tracking.
What happens if, let's say we do away with the dog handling for the sheriff's department, what happens to that dog? Goes back to the...
It would be returned to the foundation, yeah, depending on, number of years, obviously.
Why? Don't we pay for it? Don't we buy
No,
that dog?
No, you were given that dog on a grant from the foundation,
Oh, really?
yeah. At
Okay,
no
well, that
cost.
makes sense.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that should be it.
Couple of questions. One, we need to know every telephone that you have in the sheriff's department.
Yep.
If you could give that to Kathy Geary,
Yep.
or who's handling that? Is Cheryl handling that?
Yeah.
So give it-
Not, just the number.
You're talking about
Bayring came in here, one of the
Right.
requirements was to know how many stations we had. so-
desk phones, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about,
Also, you have, what, 3 vehicles sitting out there with snow on it? Were they used, or they, what's
One is the
happening?
spare cruiser, which is all bought and paid for.
The what?
The spare cruiser,
Yeah,
in case of, should we get in a wreck or any long-term repairs on another cruiser.
yeah.
And it's used for part-timers, and the bailiffs use it sometimes for prison
The other
transports.
2 that's out there? There were
And
3
the
out
other
there this
two,
morning.
the other 2 are out there that they're on their way back from Philadelphia on extradition, so they park their cruisers here.
Oh, they
and
take their own
took one
vehicle?
of the- No, took one of the unmarks.
Oh,
Actually took the lieutenant's vehicle.
okay.
So those 2 are assigned to deputies, but they're away on extradition right now.
Okay.
So you have 2 people going to Philadelphia to pick
Yeah.
up 1 prisoner?
Yep. Safety reasons, if you have to stop.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
What about, one to Florida?
Oh, they're back. They're already back.
Did 2 go then too?
2 went there, yeah.
Okay.
Did,
You
now
only
they,
needed 2 more for foursome then, right?
did they use a vehicle, or did they fly?
They flew.
They flew to Florida.
They flew.
Yeah, yeah. They almost had to drive back, but just during that storms,
Oh, yeah.
kept getting canceled. But yeah, it's always, 2 always go on extraditions for safety purpose outside the
Makes
state.
sense.
Unless it's just over the borders of Massachusetts or Maine or something, then we may send one.
Okay. Anything to report on the subcommittee? You guys, subcommittee meeting coming up, right?
Meeting Tuesday, I believe, at 1 o'clock.
Tuesday?
Yes. Yeah, that's a tentative time right now.
Yeah, actually, that's one you want to try to be
At
at.
1 o'clock.
Tuesday at 1, okay.
Yeah.
I sent a message for Monday at 1, so it's actually Tuesday now.
As far as I know it was.
There was a change, I think.
Yeah, because they were trying to get some of the subcommittee members there. And it was,
Mhm.
appointments were conflicting out, so I was available Monday or Tuesday, so. The last I've heard, it's Tuesdays where they're looking to reserve the room.
Okay.
I know that's election day also, so.
I
that,
know.
But that seemed to be the day that Chairperson Crawford is picked at this point.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else you want to
Should
bring us up to date on? Nothing else I can think of. Anybody on the board got any questions, further
No.
question? Seeing none? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody had a schedule already? Regarding the wooden index stands at the registry of deeds, I thought, didn't we tell Will to take them out of there? Or didn't we?
That was going to be our thought. I don't know that we got around to telling Will, but,
Okay. They're gonna
it's just a
remove those.
shame to destroy the things, but I don't know what you can use them for.
No, I don't either.
There's nobody creative enough woodworking that could cut the legs down and use them in a nursery school for a table, or, and they're well-made.
Yes.
It's a shame. We don't have any place to store them, and
Well, they can be taken out of the registry of deeds and put in the old nursing home, I guess.
yeah, they could, for temporary. We ought to make a point of when I go, putting something about it on the webpage.
Yeah.
I don't know who'd look at it, but at least make some effort to save them. Ask Cheryl, huh?
Yeah.
Are you reading the same thing?
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
Well, it's RSA's.
I know, but
Come out of the
why
county.
was,
Hmm?
who gave it to us? Kathy?
No, Ann. Ann, she wanted to, she should be in here at 9 o'clock. According to her letter, she wants to get rid of those wooden index stands. And here she is speaking of the devil. Come right up.
You're calling me the devil?
Come on, come on.
I'm your guardian angel.
Speak of the devil,
What?
he will hear about it.
Thank you for being here early.
Thank you for letting me come.
I see as our new outstanding purchasing person, you got the bill for the, and did you get the stand, the rack?
I've got it. Oh,
Okay.
no, they delivered that. I wouldn't
What
have
was
paid
the other
it
thing
till
that
it
was
came.
on that bill that came with it?
They, because of the weight of it,
Yeah.
it needed a truck that had a lift on it, so they had to charge us 30. They didn't charge us for shipping, but they had to pay the trucker $30 to have that, so we could raise and lower it from the truck.
Oh, okay.
We've had to wait. They've shipped things to Maine before they come to us in order to have a truck.
Well,
Not this company,
our
but
quote, my quote said no shipping cost.
it was free shipping. It was to pay because we didn't have a loading platform. They called and asked if we had a platform to unload.
Could have unloaded it over
Why
at the
did you
new
load-
nursing home.
And then how would we get it over
The
here?
farm would bring it over here, like
Put
they
it-
brought
put it
the
in
safe.
in the bucket of the tractor and bring it over.
It was
They got
$30.
forklifts.
If I have to, I'll.
Okay, all right.
Where am I
Your
going?
purpose this morning is to
Um,
convince us we need to get rid of those wooden index stands.
Well, and we need to do it with a vote, and to allow it to be moved to the nursing home, to be resold or disposed of in whatever
Yep.
fashion.
Yep.
I looked at the statutes, and you as commissioners are the only ones who have the right to sell the personal property of the county.
Would you like a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we
I'll
would.
make a motion that we remove the now famous wooden tables from the Registry of Deeds, put them over at place them in the old nursing home temporarily, and make an attempt to see if we can't find somebody to use them, either on the website or some form of advertising or help from the media or any way to get rid of it. And then in 90 days, if we haven't been able to find anybody to take them, then we'll jump.
So would you say that, with your motion, that it would be free to anybody that wants them?
Yes,
So there's no cost involved?
no cost involved. They have to
The
move.
labor is intensive, they are very heavy to
What's that?
move. The labor of moving them is intensive, they're very heavy.
Yeah.
Well, they'll have to move.
Well, exactly.
I think we're better off to donate them, because I think if you bring wood to the dump, you have to pay for the wood too.
I mean, it's good wood, it's just.
I know, it's too bad to
It's
destroy
outlived
them.
its usefulness
Yeah.
and takes up an awful lot of space that may
Yeah.
be needed in the future, and it is needed because we're adding more books every day.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
Yes.
Ann, could you call the high school and talk to Mr. Farr and see if he might have some use with his kids, if they could cut it off.
Or to reuse the
And flatten them out, and
materials.
they can grow their plants on them. There's any number of uses that they could use them for.
Well, even if they used to, if they took the rays on the top
Yeah.
and flattened it, even for storage,
Yeah. Yeah.
that would be the smartest thing to do with that.
Yeah, put
Because
shelves.
most
Please
people
call
are-
Mr. Farr,
His name is F.
A-R-R.
Oh, okay.
He's the ag vocational person. You know, they start their own plants over there.
Well,
It's a shame to throw them
well, they
out.
may be able to reuse the wood. I mean, they may have
Yep.
the manpower to take it apart, and there's an awful lot of heavy, thick wood there.
Yeah.
While I'm here,
Any further discussion on the motion?
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0.
Okay. I don't know if I need, well, if it's in the minutes, then Mr. Murray should have no problem with us moving them over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, the farm crew would move them over.
Farm crew, not
He will
Mr.
just
Murray.
make arrangements to make sure it's unlocked,
Okay.
and that Will can handle that.
Do you want to have a discussion on the discussion that came about in the middle of the delegation meeting?
We got
I'll do it
time to do that.
briefly. Just so that you're on the same page as I am. This isn't something I'm doing unilaterally. This has been a problem all over the state.
Mhm.
And I think some of it is an interpretation of a statute, or at least Mr. Chandler's opinion was that, I just want to give you, what I've got here is a copy of the letter that I sent out to the town, which was really non-offensive, and the copy of the statute which I am operating under. The statute itself says copies of conveyance for tax purposes. That's the title of the statute.
Let me read the
Go
letter.
ahead, go ahead.
Question I have for you, why do we send them to the town? Why don't
Because the
the people come here?
statute says, we shall, upon request in acceptable media, send copies of all deeds, mortgages, and other conveyances.
I see, huh?
It doesn't say we can charge them for them, it says we shall. Most of the towns just get deeds, some of them want just the important part of the mortgage, which would say what bank and amounts and so forth. Because now the mortgages have gone from being 1 or 2 pages to being 26 and more. We don't, but that's the expense that we provide, that is at the expense to our taxpayers. It's our paper, our toner, and our postage that they get mailed to them. It's so that they know to stop taxing Mr. Jones, who has sold it to Mr. Brown. So it is to keep their tax records up to date and to be able to know what date the transfer took place, so they prorate the taxes between the parties. What we've done, the statute requires that we send them quarterly.
Yeah.
We send them almost every week, so that the assessors can keep up with it. If we were to send that information quarterly, we'd be, and it was very weighty, the boxes, they were huge amounts, and then it takes so much time for them to go through that. They've all been very appreciative to have the more, because they get the stuff within a week probably of when it got recorded, which is,
They just file them? in the county, in the
They
town?
keep them. I don't know how they keep them. I do know that when I did, in another occupation, Wolfboro used to hire the firm I worked for to do the updates on their tax map. So we would go down, and they actually kept them in chronological order of book and page.
So the issue is that you send them a copy and you put a watermark across it
No,
so that they cannot resell it.
I just started that last week.
And that's being done by all registry deeds?
Yeah. It's
So-
but the other registries, if you will,
Yeah,
they don't send them anymore. They allow the towns to take the information from the internet,
and we don't.
and we are not online. So they go in.
Are we the only ones that's still not online?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And right now, there are some registers that are wishing they aren't online because of what is going on.
Okay.
I don't think they'll change, but because it's been done for so long. When it comes up on a screen, a lot of the people who have the online have accounts. So there are law offices, surveying companies, appraisal companies who actually pay a set fee each year just to be able to view the records. If they make copies, then they are charged for the copy. Those do not have watermarks on it. Somebody is paying for it. But when the technology changed and has allowed people to either film them or they call it scraping in whatever fashion that they are taking it, whether they're doing it with strips or whatever, that it does amount to a great loss of revenue to each of the counties.
So basically what's happening is that you ship it to them, they make a copy, they charge for it, so the town gets
Generates
money,
income.
and the registry doesn't.
Yeah. Well, it's provided, because it's provided under the statute.
Yeah.
We are here and are paid from all the people in our county, and this is just one of the services and ways that we interact with town government, is mostly maybe through this department, through our department, because we are the holder of the records. We are the official holder of the records. People who are out there, we get calls, not frequently. They want to buy all our records. They want them on a CD. They think because they've already been paid to be recorded, that I should be able to hit a button and provide them with these things. And I don't see any, I just tell them it's $1 a page. And when they find out what that figure goes to, when we've got 3,000 some odd books and big tomes of indexing, I never hear from them again, because in the statutes, we are allowed to charge whatever fee we want for copies. We have not changed our prices since I started working here in 1984.
And it's what?
$1 a page
$1 a
for
page.
documents, and if it's plans, $2 for a small, $5 for a large, which is the full size, which is quite reasonable, and that's what pretty much most of the registries charge. COAS, they charge $3 for, I don't know if it's a page or whatever, but different ones have slightly different fees.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And where does it say here in what you've given us that the town doesn't have the right to sell it?
That doesn't say it. That's what Mr. Chandler is, Representative Chandler, and I do understand, but it also doesn't say they can. We can be nitty-gritty. It says for tax purposes, not for being a secondary registry.
Why wouldn't it behoove you to talk to the representatives and get someone to put a bill in that says the town can't sell them? We're providing them for nothing, and it's against the law to sell them.
Well, I think
Not
we
against the
are
law.
having a little.
Huh?
I don't think it is against the law for the
Well, that's
town
what
to
I'm
sell.
saying. Or put in legislation that
law.
would make it against the
Yeah.
law so that they have to come here and.
Well, I
and
think the
buy.
heading of it was to help towns so they didn't have to come to their registries, because a lot of them have a great distance, and it was a service. I don't think anybody thought that it was going to be a competition to sell the copies.
People want copies of those because they can make money on them.
Oh, well, if somebody is selling their property, of course, the realtors want a copy, so they know what it is, so they've got a copy there to show somebody. We get calls all day long from realtors or appraisers who are doing their jobs for their clients, and.
But again, is it a moneymaker for those people that want a copy?
Well,
Do they
anybody
make
who's
money
buying
off
it because they're gonna prepare a deed, and they're gonna charge $150 to make a new deed, or whatever they charge.
Yeah.
We don't have any control, but they have paid for the privilege of having an official copy. I'm not saying that their deeds that we give them are not official, but sometimes, and if they go back in time, there are things written on the margins of what is in our registry,
Mhm.
like see boundary line agreement, if it's a mortgage, see assignments, see discharges, and there's references to tell people to go to another book and page on something that affects that. They may not have, theirs may not look the same over time. We don't usually do marginals anymore, but it was a practice probably up until into the 90s. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I think the intent of the law was to keep your towns up to date.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a
That's
hold.
no problem. It's just a case of whether they charge or we charge.
I've tried to get a hold of Kathy Stacy, who's the president of our association. I can't tell you the amount of emails that have been fluttering around since everybody went to this like 2 weeks ago. So it's not being done.
So
with-
everybody did this? When they sent it out to the town, they put it?
The towns now, the sheets that are up for the towns to be able to pull them off the computers have the mark, and anybody who's trying to scrape them is getting them with the mark on it. Not all of them have done it yet. I mean, but it has, I know probably 5 of them started a week ago last Monday.
Uh-huh.
So,
For the same purpose? They want people to come to the county to get a copy
Well-
and pay for it?
I've always interpreted that as a service, a free service.
What kind of dollars are we talking about?
I have
Any
no idea.
No idea?
I can tell you that last year,
Yeah.
it was $105,311.28 that we made in copies, whether the people are actually here ordering them or calling in and having them sent or faxed.
How much was that again?
$105,311.28. Because we
$105,000.
charge for postage if we mail them.
What?
How much?
$105,000.
No,
Thousand?
that's what I thought you said.
Well,
For copies?
right, my total budget, the
Whoa.
income is 800 and somewhat,
Whoa.
811. So it's at least an eighth of our income. I don't know. I'm just telling you that, I just thought I'd bring it up so that you weren't in the dark about this. And I am not sending out any more town copies at this point until I make sure. I couldn't reach my president of the association for the past 2 days. She's involved with budget in her own county. But she will be calling me, I believe, today.
Mhm.
And I think we need to either rethink it or, I didn't do it to inflame anybody. I really didn't. I had no idea they were doing it. And it came to
So
my
the other
attention.
counties must be considerably more. If
Oh, the
we're a
bigger
small
town-
county and
yeah.
we're 100,000.
Yeah, and they were pretty angry. But
So they're aware of it? You sent them an email saying that some selectmen in our towns?
I sent an email to Kathy Stacy, who's the
Stacy.
president of my association. Oh, no, this has been going around for 2-3 weeks on how to deal with this. Our
Oh.
software company reducing it so that it didn't interfere with text, the reading of it or interpreting of it. And I just had no idea that they were so combative about the charge.
Do you know if any of the towns in Carroll County were charging for it?
Oh, I know that.
They were. So they're,
How do you know?
Well, the town of Jackson, the 2 girls up there called me and apologized. They had no idea they shouldn't be selling them. Okay. But you get new people in an office, as you know, us elected officials can be changing every 2 years. So the continuity, and we don't know when it would have started or how often it happens, but I think it's mainly being done in the assessing department because most towns now use the assessor to oversee the ownership. I mean, because they're doing the evaluations, they also make the changes on ownership, maybe through their computer system so that the tax office has the same information they do. All I'm saying is I understand, their concern, but I don't know why they would have headed that statute unless it was for the purpose of taxes and nothing else. I'm not gonna play nasty here. I deal with tax collectors all the time, and every last one of them is asked for favors, and I do some research for them and whatever to help them with their records, but, and I will continue, because I believe in the spirit of good government, we should be cooperative with our people. And this issue has got to, it will probably come to a head, because Representative Chandler understandably was upset with me. I didn't think I did it in an offensive way, and I didn't think it required me to have a meeting before we did that, because the registers were firmly in belief that they had the right to do that.
I don't think it's gonna go away.
I don't think it is either, and that's why I wanted, before I
Towns
said
are
anything.
hurting for money, they want, derive some kind of revenue, so.
Well, just remember that it is us that are providing that service so that they can make that revenue, whatever amount it comes to, and it may be meager, I don't know. Like I said, I've had the town tax collectors, assessors invited here twice since I've been elected, and we have a really good evening discussing issues and answering any questions they have, allowing them to see how our computer systems work, how we keep our records, and so forth, because I believe in that interaction and cooperative spirit. So I certainly am going to try to do something with cooperation here, and I need to get the feeling that our association probably needs to have a meeting and address this before it goes any further. I'm just holding back and not doing anything more to,
So
obviously to inflame, but.
What you're saying is that it's for tax purposes by the town to set the tax rate.
No,
To
it's so
set
they
the
can,
taxes for that
so they
town.
know ownership has changed and they're sending the tax bill to the rightful owner. Otherwise, they'd have no idea who moves in and who moves out.
Right, right.
But this is a statute that's, let me see what the year started at. Oh, shoot.
But your
I don't have
interpretation
the year.
of tax purposes is strictly for the town and not for reselling of the document.
That was my interpretation, and I could be completely wrong. We've also had a bill that we were working on with the, I wasn't as involved, but it was on fraudulent conveyances, and fraudulent liens, rather, and we were all set, and they worked out all the language and whatever, and then they wrote a sentence at the very end that said the registers will notify the person who puts that lien on that a copy is being sent to the Attorney General. I don't need anybody coming in here being angry at something we've done. And that sentence needs to either come out of there or be defeated, because you're putting the registry personnel in any registry at risk.
I would hope that the affiliates would come up with some kind of a recommendation or a change in the law to that effect.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I don't know what the towns can do if you put a watermark across it.
I'm sure that if we don't come to some cooperative effort here, that there will be some legislation and it won't be in our favor.
No, that's right, that's right.
So that's what I'm saying. I want to get the feeling from the leadership and what she wants to do and how she chooses to proceed, because I'm sure she's going to have the same issues.
Yeah.
She has not done hers yet.
I think we have a meeting on Friday. I'll bring it up at the officers' board.
Well, I think
Sometimes she's there and sometimes she's not, but
Did
she
they-
should be there at the regular session.
she's right out straight with her budget
Yeah.
issues, and
Yeah.
they've had a lot of issues in their county. But I thought at that time, in the inner workings of the delegation meeting, that Mark volunteered to chair it and to get, a selectman or two to
Yeah.
meet. And
Okay.
hopefully we can be more agreeable. I just thought, because it came up, I would just want you to have the same information they did.
Yep.
How many phones?
Yeah, we need to know how many phones you have in your office. Yeah, and just give it to Cheryl, okay?
Can I ask you what you're doing with the phone system?
We're reviewing the whole complex telephones.
Right.
And we need to give them the addresses of the buildings, the number of phones that are in the buildings. And what's the third item?
I'd have to look it up in a minute.
Would that include the 2 extension phones?
Includes any hand phones.
I mean, they can't call out.
Just-
This is just, we have one in the closing room and one in the vault.
Strictly for use within the
If somebody
department?
calls and asks us to page someone, or somebody's in, they want to talk to somebody in a closing, they can't call out.
Just the outside lines.
That's right.
Oh,
Okay, so
and-
then it's just one at each desk. Okay, very good. Thank you. I will give it to Cheryl.
Oh, I know what it was. It was a monthly bill
Oh, one
of
monthly
what
bill.
we are
Yep.
paying for our telephone system. It's
Um,
just a review of our system to see if we can make it more efficient and make it more reasonable.
I think way back, I say way back, if, probably for the last couple of years, I used to get a copy of my bill, and then they, I thought Catherine Armstrong, I
Mhm.
thought she was involved with dealing with Fairpoint, in which we got flat rate, a better rate than we
Mhm.
were. And after that time period, I have not received
Well, we've got,
bills.
She breaks it
Two or-
down when the bill comes in.
Yeah, the bills all go to her. We used to get them.
But we need to know, for Bayring asked us, we need to know how many wall phones, desk phones that you have in your.
But
Yeah,
as
give
far
or
as
take.
outgoing phones, we have 7.
just tell
Are you
Cheryl.
sure of that?
Yeah. Let her tell
Why don't
Cheryl.
you go down
I will.
and count them up again and make sure.
No,
we
I
got
know
it.
the count. I know we have one that is portable, and I don't think it counts as a separate phone. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I will double check
Okay.
with them
Any
on
other
that before I
questions
give
for
her that
the
figure.
registry of deeds?
Nope.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Ann.
Howie? Ooh,
Good morning, Commissioners.
good morning.
Good morning.
Howie, we need the same information from the nursing home.
Telephones.
How many telephones you have? Send it over to Cheryl. Telephones, meaning,
Not cell phones.
Not
Plug
cell
into the
phones.
Plug into the wall.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah,
And we have quite a few, but I think Bob's got a master list, so we'll get
Okay.
that, we'll get that right over to her.
okay.
But first
Go
of
ahead.
all, want to apologize. Met with Rob today. Both Rob and I want to apologize for not having scones for the delegation meeting on Monday. We didn't know about the meeting, and so there was no intention to deny sustenance to the delegation. But we apologize.
I have no problem.
But it wasn't on either of our schedules, so.
Why don't you bring them over the next time and charge $2 a piece?
But I do have, I wanted to give you just a very brief update, just so that you're always in the loop of what we're doing with Medicare, and it's going over very well at a staff level. We're looking at trying to increase our Medicare census, not beyond the parameters that we originally discussed over a year ago. We're not looking to go beyond the 10%, but actually looking to get to the 10%. And looking for the admissions that come from discharges from hospitals, which require essentially having an empty bed. But all the preliminary analysis shows that strategically, having an empty bed can generate far greater revenue than having it necessarily filled with a Medicaid reimbursed bed. So it's a good strategy, and it's working out
As
well.
long as you don't keep it empty for a long period of time, short periods of times, you can then fill it with somebody that's on Medicare.
Well, interestingly, in terms of
make more
comparison, that bed only needs to be filled 41% of the time.
Really?
So that and that was actually quite an eye-opener for me. I expected it to be much higher, almost double that at 75 or 80. But if that bed were filled 41% of the time, and we expect that for our budgeting purposes, I think we can reasonably expect it to be full 75% of the time, almost twice that. It will generate significantly greater revenues.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll also give us the opportunity, as we started, and I don't have the final on this for you, for us to be able to use it for short-term hospice, something that Carroll County doesn't have, and also respite, something else that Carroll County doesn't have, to provide greater service to the community and at the same time helping out the finances of the county.
Yep.
So that's.
Because there are no places for respite
None at all.
that I know of.
No, but nursing home beds in Carroll County are full. The only places that do respite are typically are nursing homes that are in trouble or having census problems. In hospice, you need to go to either the Seacoast or to Concord, and it would be wonderful if we could provide that. 80% of the care that's provided to elders is provided by families in their own home. Sometimes those family members need to go away, they get sick themselves, or there's a graduation, there's a wedding, or just a vacation they want to take, and having a place to come for
Yeah.
a week or so could make a big difference.
I fully understand that.
That's, I mean,
Okay.
and 80%, most of, we think nursing homes are the solution, most care is being provided by families.
It may not be a paying service, but it is a service to the county taxpayers.
But in this case, it would actually bring in private
Mhm.
pay revenue that we otherwise wouldn't see. And
Right.
at the same time, keeping that bed available for a hospital discharge because it would be short-term.
Yeah.
I have other good news for you, and I've just received word yesterday that U.S. World and News Report, I think in their February 24th edition, has listed Mountain View as one of the best nursing homes in the country.
Really?
It's a-
Whoa, really?
It's one of 20 in New Hampshire that were listed, and remarkably and wonderfully, of that 20, the county home system represents 6. So we are one of 6 of the counties that are represented, but we made their top, and I'm not exactly sure what their total number is, but it's of the, once a year, they list the best nursing homes.
You gotta back up a minute
Yeah,
now.
that's good
Say this
news.
again. How is our nursing home ranked?
We are
One of
ranked-
10 go ahead.
I don't know how many in the country. I haven't seen the edition yet.
Okay.
They picked 20 in New Hampshire as qualifying for best in the.
20 now. We have 11 county nursing homes.
Correct.
But we have also
So
other
we have
options.
20, so there's 9 others private that were selected.
Oh, there were 14 other private ones selected. There were 6
Six
county
nursing
homes
homes.
selected and 14 private nursing
Oh.
homes. And of that list, the private
6
ones
out of the
are all
11.
typically very upscale, continuing care retirement community-based nursing homes,
Yeah.
for which money isn't an object. But
Yeah.
it's nice to be, it's good that the county system is well represented and that Mountain View is on that list of best in the country.
Good, great.
Good news.
Excellent.
The other thing that I have for you is a question. Received a solicitation from the Greater Ossipee Chamber of Commerce, looking to enlist us as members, and I didn't know, nobody seemed to have any sense of whether there's been any history, but I guess I'm looking to you for direction. Is that something that you even want to see us pursue? And I could also see it being pursued at 2 different levels, whether or not you would, if you wanted it at all, whether it should be as a county as a whole or Mountain View as a subset of that. $75 a year is the dollar amount that's involved.
We haven't done it in the past.
My gut feeling is, well, even though I live in Ossipee, that this is a county facility and that
We don't get any break on their taxes.
we don't, well, we don't pay enough, so we can consider that.
Yeah, right.
I don't think we should do it.
I don't either.
Okay, I thought, I didn't want to get too involved until I knew what it's one of those things that for me could go either way. It's good to be part of the
Maybe
business
because we're-
community. It's good marketing, but it's not essential
We're a
marketing.
county facility, and no reason why Mount Washington Valley Chamber wouldn't ask.
Wolfboro Chamber.
Or
Well,
Wolfboro Chamber.
where do you draw
Any
the
of them.
line? And that's why I bring it to you, just in case there'd been thoughts or discussion. But
Okay.
that is all I have for you today.
Did you
Go ahead.
show the accountants the entire facility?
It did, and they seemed like they were very astute. One, of course, the younger guy didn't say much, but the
boss man did.
The boss didn't, and I was pleased to find that he wasn't at all shocked, or he was knowledgeable about the healthcare reimbursement system, where we get our revenue from. Our expenses are easy for them to deal with. The revenue part could be unusual to some. He was very much on top of things. So I was satisfied, impressed, and pleased that they were as knowledgeable as they were about healthcare.
So they're going to have the information that you're going to need, that Paula needs?
Well, part of that's
By the time
part of that's
limit?
prepared by the accountant, part of it comes from Kathy, and Paula has some, we actually contract out with Robin Grill, who only
Right.
does the Medicare cost reports, and she's been doing it apparently for the county for 10-plus years.
Yeah.
Whether or not that would be needed if there's a formalized accounting relationship, we should look to see if they, I'm not sure that they actually prepare those cost reports. I think their presence is gonna make the preparation of those reports easier and possibly could result in a savings, but that's speculative at this point.
Go ahead.
Unless you wanna wait till work session, because I spent about 3 hours with them, 2.5 hours with them yesterday.
Which accountants are these?
Ron Bulio
Oh,
and,
the auditor.
Yeah.
Okay.
and what they're, well, why don't we wait till work session? Because I'm
Okay.
ready to do it now, either one, I don't care.
Okay. What's the time limit on that? For
March 31st for the,
31st?
for the
cost reports.
2013 figures, if we want to be reimbursed.
Now, we've been reimbursed for 11 and 12, right?
Oh, yes. So we don't have any, we're current. And I don't think we need the auditor's figures to submit for the cost reports. So that's unexpected benefit, but not a requirement. Paula seems to have that well under control. It's a little snug because we're already into March.
Yeah,
But this is the typical scenario.
okay.
We have the close of 2013 figures, so that we can, even without the auditor, from the business office, we can get the figures that we need.
Okay. One thing that could be an issue and may not be an issue, and that is that the nursing home is an enterprise fund. And when you have an enterprise fund, money left over at the end of the year, if there is any, is not supposed to be used for balancing the budget, or I shouldn't say that. It should not be used for any other department to help them balance their budget. It's strictly for the nursing home. So you might want to just take a look at that.
I have a suggestion for you to consider in that.
Yeah.
A preliminary one that I've seen used well in other places with enterprise funds. It never hurts to create a capital reserve fund. Because at some point, but
You weren't at the meeting Monday when that was discussed, or was it Monday?
Yep.
Whereby a couple of the representatives wanted to start a capital reserve fund, but Representative Chandler said until we get our budget under control, they would not start a capital reserve fund.
Huh?
Or that has been the reason in the past for not having a capital reserve fund. All towns do it. All towns continue to increase their percentage wages and so forth, so.
Well, what it tends to do, and I actually mentioned this to the auditors, it is probably not the best possible practice that we include in our operating budget requests for capital items, because it distorts the budget from year to year, because if everything else were the same, and you needed to repair, replace, or upgrade something, it distorts it for 1 year. It's actually better that it be a separate budget, many would consider.
Mhm.
This would assist in doing that. It doesn't at all take away the control that the commissioners have in terms of how that money is used. Because it would be carried over, set in a separate fund,
Yeah.
its control is still with the commissioners. In fact, you want to have special control over anything coming out of that fund. But that's a great way to level, so you don't get surprised. If that fund, theoretically, that fund should build to about what 10% of the depreciation is in a given year.
Mhm.
A building as new as that, at some point, having a capital replacement fund for Mountain
Yeah.
View of $100,000 sounds like a huge amount of money. That's something that would keep us from
Compared
having to come
to-
back each year and say we need to
Right.
have something. It'd make budgeting a whole lot better for the county.
Did I hear correctly that we are within 200,000 of balancing the budget at the nursing home?
We're close, and that is taking what the subcommittee is looking at as a optimistic but not unrealistic. And then the fine line between the two, look at projected revenues.
Mhm.
It's not what we presented to you, or, you know, or that we can say with confidence will happen, but the number that the last number that, since our last meeting, I'm not sure what was presented Monday, but assuming it's the same, it's optimistic but not unrealistic. So we're getting close. And my hope is that by taking certain measures, like what we've talked about at the subcommittee meeting, starting with the Medicare, starting with increasing private pay rates, looking at how we can save money by generating revenue. Because I'm convinced there aren't many ways that we can save much money. It's really pretty efficient, but there are a number of ways that we can generate more money.
Revenue, yeah.
That it's not unrealistic hope, not completely beyond the realm of reason, that 5 years from now, hopefully less, but 5 years from now, that we could actually break even. Now, the thing that will kill us will actually be that capital part. Because, you know, you can break even 1 year. I know it's a new building, but you only need to have a few problems to start looking at $20,000, and you need to continually be able to maintain and reinvest. And so capital replacement should be a scheduled part, a scheduled part of things. But on a strictly operating basis, we're getting very close.
Do you have a 5-year plan?
I do.
You do?
For revenue part, it's not pretty dressed and ready, but it could be done.
Do you have a 5-year plan total for the nursing home?
No.
Is that something you can work on?
I can. In fact, I'd be glad to. In fact, just getting a sense from the subcommittee and from you at the last subcommittee meeting that these are ideas that you're willing to work with, provide the basis for that. The bulk of which will actually be based on in revenue generation and different opportunities. There are some cost savings, and we're looking at some serious cost savings on the medical side.
I guess I'm also a little concerned that we're responsible for the management. The delegation is responsible for funding. And so there's a fine line there as to, hopefully neither one of us are micromanaging. That's your job, to manage. But overall, we're responsible for the management. Delegation responsible is for funding, appropriations. You got a question?
I had a question. You were speaking about capital reserve and having it for parts wearing out. Do you have any idea what happened to the pellet burner that we had to pay? I think it was $3 grand for parts to repair it.
Talked to Bob briefly about that, and it was something, I think it was to do with ash removal.
Yes,
apparently that's
the
a high wear part. And of course it is I mean, that $2,500 is big, but it was not completely unexpected. But it isn't a component that we budgeted for. We have essentially within our operating, for heating, we have a contingency. We know parts of it are going to fail, but we don't know whether it's going to be a circulator pump or this ash removal. Bob is pleased, though. Apparently the manufacturer, we have a new distributor now for a new manufacturer's representative for it, and Bob is very pleased that we're getting much quicker and more comprehensive response, and apparently they'll be sending out a team to do some preventative work on our boilers at no cost to us as they orient and train their team, as the manufacturer trains the new distributor on how to do it. So we'll be the beneficiary of some free support. They want, and we want them, to hold our site up as kind of a model. The attention that it brings also brings with it free service. They want us to be happy. If they're going to sell more of these, they need to have existing users be happy.
Would you bring Bob in next time when you come?
Definitely.
I'd like to talk about the furnaces, the use of propane, any of those kinds of figures.
Any ideas he has about hooking the pellet burner up to the laundry to use hot water?
Yeah. And I guess I tend to forget who has meters and who doesn't. Does the nursing home have both water meter and gas meters?
I believe, and I'm not sure that new Mountain View does. What seems to be less clear to me, well, what is less clear to me, is whether the old building does. And that seems to be, I'm not sure that the old building does.
Right.
Because I know that a big part of the consideration for whether we would ever take laundry in is water use, and I don't believe there's a water meter over there.
Yeah. The chairman of delegation wants us to have gas meters and water meters water meters at each building. So that's, we got a price tag of around $20,000 to do that.
Of course, I guess I have to state the obvious is the meters will not reduce.
It won't
The
reduce.
cost.
All it does is, right now, the water is set for each building according to the architectural design of the building and what they said the water usage would be, based on bathrooms and so forth.
So some of it's apportioned, some of it's
Okay.
metered.
Yeah,
Now, something that we can do, you know, in terms of trying to figure out usage, you can, if every other place is metered except that,
yeah, I know.
we can do it, you know,
That-
whatever
that's-
the,
We tried that because we know what is being produced, we know what's leaving the facility, and we know what is being used on the complex. What she would like to see is what is used at each building.
well, if there's only one building that isn't metered.
I know what you're saying.
The delta will be.
Then the rest of it.
Will be
But there's
the,
more than one that isn't metered.
short
so
of, short of it
definitely-
leaking, you know, it's,
And, yeah, and that's the other problem, is we want to make sure there's no leaks in our system. Shouldn't be, it's a new system, so, anyway.
but that's,
You also know that the mowing of lawns and the maintenance portion, or the
Groundskeeping.
ground care item
right.
is going back in your budget,
Because it's an enterprise. fund.
because it's an enterprise fund. And also, Will is going to have to update that, because I don't think that it's a fair figure right now. It's low. So probably won't be adjusted until next year, but just to let you know that that's back in your budget. Was there anything else that went back in that budget because of enterprise fund?
Not that I can remember. Can Asha remember anything?
Again, it's water and gas, so we have to know we have to have meters, and you think you've got meters.
I think on the new
Well, they
building.
got meters, both gas and water at the new nursing home?
They have gas. I stand corrected to, I was going to tell the commissioners today that there is not a meter, a water meter there. But that figure that I gave the subcommittee, approximately $20,000, did include theirs also. So it's all the buildings on the complex. I thought for sure that we had put one in there,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of talk about it when we built it, but it didn't get put in. So, but that
Okay.
cost that I got the estimate did include
Yeah.
one for them.
Is that for both gas and water?
Gas is already there.
Okay, but I mean, on the other buildings? The
No,
the
I
jail has a gas meter,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Doesn't have a water meter, though.
Right.
Okay.
The only two missing gases are the old nursing home and the maintenance shop.
Okay,
And I believe Commissioner Babson was working with the gentleman to get the prices on those.
okay. Okay, so anyway,
Maintenance and what? Well, excuse me, Dave.
go ahead.
Maintenance and what was the other with no gas?
The old nursing home.
Yeah, I have a question about the pellet furnace. Was it not covered apart on a warranty?
We're actually 2.5 years into things now.
So,
So
but
most of the warranty
facts,
items were a year or less.
That's it?
That's actually, oftentimes it's much less than
90
that.
days.
Really. And this was, as described to me, less of a failure than of a heavy wear item.
Mhm.
It still seems premature to me. You would think that most parts, but it's a pretty serious machine there.
You will think that a pellet furnace for the price would be covered longer.
Well, okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like me to stay here available for a work session, or?
Sure, if you
Or,
will.
I'm here at your pleasure, so I just.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you have planned, so.
Okay, no, we'll be all right.
You want me to stay then?
Yep.
I'll be here.
Jason?
Board of Commissioners?
Morning.
Good morning.
One.
The results of the RFP for the phone system, I remember initially requesting that ICS be the vendor that we select. But based on a submission of the best and final offer, I would like to change that and request that we go with Securus as the phone vendor. That is based on that they came in, they have the lowest connection fees, they have the lowest rates for the offenders and their families, and it still comes with the jail management package, and they are guaranteed to meet our request at a minimum of $1,400 flat commission fee. There's a breakout of everything here in front of you. You can see what the initial response was from both vendors. The $1.55 connection fee, 35 cents a minute for the first minute, and then 7 cents a minute. And then based on the best and final offer, Securus was able to come in at $1.50 for a connection fee and 15 cents a minute. And they would still be in compliance with the new FCC ruling in regards to no connection fee for out-of-state calls and 25 cents a minute for out-of-state calls.
So we are going to, if I understand this properly, we are going to still receive approximately the same revenue, but lower hookup costs for the inmates, which was my goal.
Correct. Mm-hmm. They also are willing to provide a kiosk that can be moved around the facility, that we can do video visitation, and eventually be able to hook up like offender request slips and things of that nature. And if we do that, then we can get a commission off of video visitation as well. And part of their package is also, a component of it is including electronic medical records, which would be a good decision as well.
Are we hooked up with the courthouse?
Yes.
Any idea how many users of that system? I know it came up at subcommittee or delegation.
Came up with that
as to
delegation.
transportation
Sure.
to the jail, which is, to me, now a big deal because it's right across the street. But any way of knowing how many of those are handled by video versus transporting?
We do quite a number of video arraignments, but it's at the call of the court if they're going to schedule it for video or if they want the defendant in the courthouse itself.
Yeah.
And we also have the courthouse up in Conway, so it's not just this court.
Oh, okay. They have that capability too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think majority, a lot of the arraignments are done video. Again, it's at the discretion of the court, so that system does get used frequently. But the transportation that we were talking about is transporting the offenders to doctor's offices, hospitals, other jails, things that the video arraignment equipment just does not cover. So, but yes.
But there would be a cost if you had to go to North Conway.
Well, that's handled out by the sheriff's office. Any transport to the courthouse is done by the sheriffs. We transport them to the medical facilities and things of that nature.
You're right. Okay. You had a chance to look at any of these proposals? We need to take action on the recommendation from the superintendent.
I'm not.
Securious?
I'm not ready to do it until I have a chance to look it over. I was the one that caused the problem to begin with, and I'd like to make sure we got it solved.
So you want to act on this next week?
Next Wednesday for sure.
Is that
all right with you guys?
okay?
Sure. I'll let the vendors know that a final decision will be made by next Wednesday.
Okay.
We
It will be
presented
made
it.
next Wednesday.
What's that?
It will be made next Wednesday.
It'll be made next Wednesday.
Okay.
So Jason, what again was this? This was the need, huh? We needed to change to the system. The old system is not working?
Our contract is expired
Oh, okay.
under the current system we have. We elected not to renew the contract because of we wanted to change our jail management product. And it's coupled with the telephone systems, and that's why we went out to bid. We found the current system not user-friendly, and the other component of, if we went with Securus, a lot of the other counties in the state have gone with Securus and Arconics. So when we transfer offenders, it's relatively easy to change and take the entire file and send it to the other facility. So we can compare and share data a lot easier.
Whenever a proposal comes in, I think it would be good, rather than us requesting it, that you automatically find out what other counties are using, whether they're using this system or whatever the issue might be, just so that we have that kind of information as to what other counties are doing.
Sure.
Okay? Anything else you want to bring up this morning?
That's all I have, Commissioner.
Yes, I have a question. I believe at the delegation meeting, excuse me, Representative Cordelli asked about the jail, the security cameras, the
Yes, ma'am.
$38,000. Where did you have it in your budget? You said you budgeted for that and you also had money left over?
That was in the capital expense for the 2013 budget.
Oh, but
8,000.
I remember that
Huh?
one day you came to the meeting and you said,
She's asking the question. You got to speak up a little
you
bit louder.
budgeted for it and you had money left over.
Yes, ma'am.
So you never put it in your line item. It was just always in capital.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
okay.
We were allotted a certain figure, 35 or 38,000, whatever that
For
is.
cameras.
So you can,
Yeah, okay.
you can go back to that line in the budget and look and see what was expended.
And we spent 30, right?
It was, I think we came in under budget by like $750,
Oh,
right around there.
yeah, that's right.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess you're coming in for 10:30?
Yes.
Okay. We should be
Are you-
fairly on time.
Will you be here for the work session? I want to bring something up from the jail, what the officer Baker had, or is this sergeant? He was talking about, program.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
Okay, Will?
Morning.
Good morning.
I have,
You getting some rest now that the
yes,
snowstorms are almost over?
slowing down, I'm
The
waiting.
days are getting longer.
All right, I'm waiting for spring,
The weather is coming, going to be up in the 40s this weekend.
only for one day
I'll take it.
It's snowing now.
though. Yes. Just a couple quick things, and then the majority, I'm assuming by, the agenda said you want to update on inventory stuff, so I'm assuming that's some of the requested information, that Commissioner Sorensen, you asked me to gather. I have copies of that to pass out to talk about.
Willie, before we forget, all we need to know how many phones you have in your maintenance shop.
Phones or cell
Plug
phones?
into the wall.
Oh,
Handphone, not cell phones.
just one
in.
line. We have two phones, physical phones, but one phone number, one line. And then we have the fax machine also.
So we get two.
Yeah, two hand phones. Now, that's interesting because he asked for the number of phones.
Right.
But if you have one line going in and you split it off, so you have two phones on it,
Plus the
which one
fax.
is he looking for? Is he looking for the number of actual phones, or is he looking for the number of lines that go into the building?
Well, I'm gonna put down two phones.
I would think,
One line, and what about the fax? That's not on a dedicated line, is it?
yes, it has its own phone number for that, because that's part of the
So
skater
we got
system and
one
everything.
line, we got a fax with one line.
And what about the, up on the mountain, coming back down? Is that,
comes into my fax machine, so
Okay.
it sends me daily, it sends me printouts. So I think that's the same as up there,
Okay.
So 2 lines.
that I'm aware of in my building, yes.
Thank you, Woody. Go ahead.
Okay.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the pole barn. It has seemed to, some people seem to think that it's fallen off my radar, but it hasn't. We've been working on it.
We know that, you said that, you told us that.
The issue we've had, the first issue that we've had is that I didn't want to rebuild the pole barn on the same foundation that we had, because we did sonotubes and everything, but when it came down that winter, the sonotubes with the frost have pushed up. So I wanted to investigate and try to figure out a better way for foundation, so we have a solid foundation to build on. Excuse me. So one of the ideas, I talked with Commissioner Babson. He was able to give me some people to talk to. Was to either a pile drive, like a telephone pole, into the ground. So I got a hold of a gentleman about that, and he actually suggested that we have an auger come in and auger an 8 to 9 foot hole, and they would set the poles in there. There'll be 25-foot poles, because I want to be about 16 feet out of the ground, so there'll be about 25-foot poles, and they'll go down 8 to 9 feet in there to give us a real secure in it.
Yep.
These will be 6-inch in diameter, and they're a pressure-treated deal. Unfortunately, when I asked them to give me an estimate on what it would cost, it was a lot more than I expected, which is going to eat up a big part of the budget, if not all of what we got from the insurance. So I guess obviously it needs to go out to bid, and so I would rather not reveal how much this individual sent, because he sent it in the email. So we'd be sending it out to bid. A couple of my questions would be is, A, if we're going to send it out to bid, I'm not familiar with putting the RFPs, exactly how that format goes. If there's someone, I don't know if one of the girls in the office normally send those out, and I could work with them to, if there's a standard form. I'm not sure exactly how the commissioners do that.
The HR person normally sends out
Okay.
RFPs. I would talk with her, and I'd work with Commissioner Babson
Okay.
to make sure everything is covered in the RFP. And we're just looking for installation of the poles.
Right. They would provide the poles themselves and the installation to put those in. And then from there, we would continue the building process.
Any chance of telephone company or
That's what I was thinking.
cooperative, New Hampshire co-op, for having extra telephone poles for that use? They're pressure treated.
How many we need, Will?
20, we needed 26, but I want to shorten the barn up by a bay, because we lost a few of some materials. So I'm thinking if we can shorten up the bay, that's fewer materials we need to purchase. Plus, where those other 2 poles were, some big concrete chunks from back in the day when the old jail came down were buried there that we found.
Oh.
And so they were hard to get out, and we couldn't go very deep with the sonotubes on that one particular end. So thinking if we shorten it up by 12 feet, we'll miss all those concrete things and we can go a lot deeper. So it had a lot of benefits of shortening it up by 1 bay. So at this point, we would need 24.
Why would we ask the auger man to supply the poles? Why wouldn't we supply them ourselves?
We can. He told me, I don't have a problem with that. We could do that and see if we can find where we can purchase them. He told me on these that he didn't have any, he went with no markup on the poles. He had
When we write up the RFP, do it both ways, include the poles and without the pole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lynette, we offered your services to help Will write up an RFP for the pole barn. You and Commissioner Babson and he could work together to put out an RFP for that, for a portion of the pole barn.
So assuming that depending on how those bids come in, if it eats up a large chunk of our budget that we have for this year, I'm going to still need, majority of the materials are good out there, but I'm still going to need some. So I guess my plan or question at this point probably would be is, should we just get the poles, double check with the installators that if we install them and not do anything with them till next year, is that okay? And just have them put in, and then our next year budget try to ask for the extra money that we need for materials to finish.
Well, if we can get poles from the New Hampshire Co-op for nothing, then all you're talking about is putting in the
Right, that could change
hole.
the
So
situation.
that could change considerably.
Right.
I wouldn't count on getting them from the co-op, but 25 feet, they probably can use the poles themselves. If they were 10-foot or ones that have been whacked by an automobile or a truck, then they'll give them to you, but the long ones they're not gonna give away.
Yeah, and it also depends on the age. Some of them, they're just replacing some of them
That's true.
that are shorter. They're putting in longer poles, actually.
That's right.
I don't, it's worth looking at.
So obviously we can go out with the RFP and then come back to have more discussion, because we'll have more idea of where we're at with costs on that, but
Okay.
that's kind of the situation that we're at with the pole barn right now.
And I know from my experience trying to scoop a couple of telephone poles that sometimes they're owned by the electric company and sometimes they're owned by the telephone company. So.
Yep, yep. Well, I think it's worth looking into. Somebody on a complex must have a contact with the telephone company. They're replacing poles.
Yeah, along 28, they put in longer poles
Yeah,
for the short ones, or shorter ones.
And because we're a county, Commissioner Babson probably can't get it as an individual
Right.
for his farming enterprise, but maybe for the county, we could get a special deal.
So that's a little update on the pole barn,
Okay.
what we're trying to accomplish there. Just a quick comment about the water meters, as I stated before. I was wrong, and thought I was very right, but I wasn't, on the fact that there is no water meter at the new nursing home. But the price that I gave, which was just shy of $20,000, does include the new nursing home. So it wouldn't be any more money, it's just I always thought there was one there. Also, we're looking at, we called North Conway Water Precinct yesterday. Wayne's delivering samples up this morning, and they were hopefully going to print some rates and such off for us. More, not on the residential side, but more on the commercial side.
Yeah.
And what we did get information up there, because there's been a lot of discussion of who would pay for these water meters and such at the
Yeah.
delegation meeting. And up there, they require the business owner or the building owner, whatever,
Yeah.
to pay for the meter. And then they also have a monthly charge instead of a quarterly charge. They charge a monthly charge just to have a hookup to that building, plus
Mhm.
their water usage on top of that. So and
I
up
think the
there-
water meters that we're talking about on the complex is gonna be paid for by the county. I don't think we can use money from the people down in the village to pay for our water meters.
I agree, and that's why I was trying to gather some of this information to support that, because I don't think that would be
Right.
fair
Even though
myself,
the water department, again, is gotta be a enterprise fund, and any money that is generated out of that needs to stay within the water department.
Right.
And I think we need to review, and I've asked for it in writing, as to what each building is their quarterly rate. I know down in the village, it's $100 a quarter, plus the usage. Here, it's a little bit different. This building is charged different than a nursing home or the jail. So we need to look at and review those figures to make sure they're right. Because what it looks like is that we are deriving a profit in the water department, but I think it's because of the rates that are set here on the complex. However, and that's about 7,000 or 8,000, I think, looking at the budget. I gotta back off that. I don't know that figure exactly. But anyway, we should be able to buy the meters out of the portion that each building pays into the water department. Go ahead.
I have a question from my two esteemed associates here.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that it's fair and legitimate to charge the fire department a water bill? We come up here, we made the 300 or 400 people that live in the Ossipee water precinct foot the entire bill for this nursing home complex, which covers the whole county. Last year, we made over 90 calls up here. We now have paid fire help because of the number of calls. Why do we insist on charging them for the water to come up here and put out a fire?
Because they use our water.
To put out your fire?
I belong to the fire department. People come in, they wash their vehicles. I think we're talking about oranges and apples. We have a duty to charge a fair rate for the water that's being used. They have a duty to respond to the calls that are made here in the complex. I would hope if there were 90 calls that were made that we had some kind of a report saying we need to correct something. And then we need to correct them. Well, then in the nursing home, we need to correct whatever those calls were made, whether it was a false alarm. Can we correct that to reduce that and reduce the number of calls? I mean, I think we're willing to work with them.
As long as they pay their water bill. Okay.
Politics aside, back to the issue we have here.
Well, wait a minute, Willie, you live in the district too.
I have no comment, but
You got a conflict of interest here.
I've always, I guess, thought of the water department as more like enterprise fund when it comes to the expenditures.
Yeah.
I never buy things, we never buy things out of the water department that aren't for the water department type of deal.
Yeah.
Or try to move money out, if we came to the commissioners. We've never done that before.
Right.
The revenue end, I don't know, I'm not in charge of that end. But just as, we've always treated it on our end of what we're responsible for in that manner.
Yeah.
But that's all I had. I don't know if there's any other questions about the water.
So do we have something in writing regarding the meters for each of the buildings? Or is it just a phone call and an estimate?
No, I have a, obviously it's gonna need to go out to bid, but I have an estimate from EJPs that gives each building, each of the 4 or 5 buildings, the cost to install and purchase the meter, what size meter they need. Together, they're going to be over the 5,000, so again, another RFP has got to be made for each building, I guess. Well, I guess I would ask, before we start sending out RFPs, are we going to have we don't have it in our budget right now, so it's for sure that the delegation is going to put that money in there, and should we not wait until that money's there?
We'll wait until they get that approved.
Right. I just caution it because this has been the 3rd or 4th time,
or
3rd time at least, that this has been asked. So move on to the review of some of I listed a couple of the things that it was asked of me to, that is provided or needs to be provided.
And before you get into that, we set a certain percentage of farm, maintenance, water, and sewer, and they took it to mean that the salaries of those individuals that are allocated to each of those departments don't fall to that percentage. I don't think we can do that. For example, if something happens to the water department, a pump goes down, you're going to spend your time fixing that pump. And that time comes from other departments if the people are shared across departments. So we can't really say that 50% of the time is in maintenance. If the water pump goes down, some of that 50% has got to be changed over to the water department. So I don't even think we can set priorities. It just depends. If it's if the sewage blocks up, we got a problem for the whole complex, and that's where the priority's got to be. Same is true for the water. If we can't get water from our wells, then we've got to do something about it. We got to take money from some department and put it into doing that. So I think it's very difficult to split people up in those 4 categories. The job has to be done. Those are the people that do the job.
I don't disagree with you, Commissioner. I've tried to put some percentages there, and I've tried to match it as close as I can to the budgetary to try to meet both. That's not in what we're looking at right now, but the other thing is, if we want to look at that, I think I made copies for you. is there's things where maybe, like you said, it's a situational dependence. Also, in looking in the long term, maybe, for example, Mark doesn't do very much of the water and sewer. But in the long term, you know, potentially we're 10 years away from Wayne could retire. So I need to start cross-training some other people because you don't learn stuff overnight. So sometimes different situations, you know, like you said, it's just, it's dependent. It's hard to put an exact percentage or exact money to what that does.
Yeah.
But these are more of the activities. I did give this exact list to Representative McConkey probably 2.5 years ago when we sat down and talked, when I gave him a tour around the complex. Just to highlight, I mean, we can read it, but to highlight is the snow plowing that the maintenance does, shoveling, salting, sanding. I have trash removal on here because at the time we did that, and there has been discussions with the jail of us taking that back over in the near future possibly. So I did leave that on there. Sometimes we back up the staff at the other buildings for different things. We used to do a lot more. I know the nursing home has picked up more of that because they have more staff of helping out when Jerry is on vacation, for example. We used to do more of it, but we still do occasionally. Generator maintenance, propane issues. These are all 24/7 things that we need to...
Talking about propane, I did call Easton Propane to see if we could pre-buy, and that would come up in August. So when they set the rates in August, we want to take a look at pre-buying, and we'll have to work with probably Kathy Armstrong, who gets the bills, as far as what we're paying for the year, as to whether we want to go into a pre-buy based on previous years. Propane continues to go up, but anyway, just to let you know that we need to look at that sometime in August.
Right. Spring cleanup, I listed various jobs. What I categorize as that is, for example, outside lighting in these parking lots. You know, if we decide to put lines for parking spots or redo the lines, spending extra time in the gardens at the nursing home sometimes in the spring where we help a lot in cleaning those up. Mulching around all the trees and the shrubs that we have over at the new nursing home, for example. And then the lawn mowing. So it kind of gives a list of the basic things that we as an outside maintenance department do on
You're also responsible for waste removal, pumping of our tanks and so forth, which you don't have on the list, right?
Well, no, because I guess I looked at it as we have 4 different departments, and that would fall under the sewer department.
Oh, you're just looking at maintenance?
Just looking at maintenance, because he asked only for maintenance and for farm on his questionnaire.
We get a question every year as to how many times does each of the tanks get pumped? We've got one outside this building, one outside the old nursing home. That's separate. Is it on our whole system?
There are 3 tanks outside the new nursing home.
3 tanks, okay.
There's 3 tanks.
Outside of the new nursing home?
New nursing home.
I was talking about the old nursing home.
Oh, old nursing home, yes, there is one or two over there.
There's one at the corner, I know.
Yes, there's one in the front corner, and then there was one in the back, but the one in the back might be the grease trap.
There is one. There's a grease trap.
Right, I know there's a grease trap for sure back there.
Yeah. Put that together under the sewage disposal. We need to have a record of something that somebody asked, how many times do you pump it? Here it is. You can read it. I don't keep track of the number of things we pump. In some cases, we pump more than others. If we got to clean out something, then we'll have them come in to pump it out. But
also, just to give you a heads up with that, it is confusing because each building has a different schedule, and each type of tank has a different schedule, and that's also different compared to the sewer system, which we have tanks down there.
Right.
And then also what gets confusing is each building is responsible for their own tanks for the budgetary purposes of pumping these. So what's in the sewer department only covers our tanks down there.
My problem with the delegation is in some cases they want to keep it by building. In other cases they want to lump it together, like we did with maintenance. We took everything out of lawn care and plowing and put it into maintenance. but now they're putting it back into the nursing home. The nursing home probably has to be kept separate. Generators, for example, is the same thing. Would we take generators out of each of the buildings and put it under maintenance? The cost of the contract and the maintenance agreements that we have with them. So I've asked that question. It just depends as to their feelings, apparently, that day.
Right.
But anyway.
But as it stands now, that might be a thing that you run into. This handout is for the same thing, but lists basically the farm consists primarily of 4 activities that are taking place that take place down there. We got our blueberry bushes that we maintain, which are fertilizing twice, timely applications, new mulch, pruning, harvesting, and marketing of the berries, and this happens every year. The second task is about 1.5 acres, and that can vary from year to year. We're trying to expand this year. We're really working well with the nursing home and the jail on putting up, preserving more things this year. So you need land preparation, laying plastic, irrigation setup, planting, some weeding, harvesting are done, then washing, weighing, and marketing the harvests. Hay production, which everybody obviously knows that we do, about 100+ acres of county land. That needs to be fertilized, the right time for the hay to be cut, ted, raked, and baled. Once it's baled, we put it in the barn. Then some customers come to the barn to buy, and others we send out deliveries. Wood production basically encompasses the other almost 800 acres of the county land. Timely cuts are managed according to our forest management plan with the help of the county forester. Some of the byproducts from these lumber cuts is cordwood. Once the cordwood is delivered to our woodlot, it is processed and split into 16-inch pieces for drying. The wood is either stacked or loaded for delivery. Some of the wood after drying is used in our campfire wood program. This wood is bagged and then loaded into the truck for delivery to the various state campgrounds in New Hampshire that we deliver to.
Are we in a position which involves the jail? The question came up as to how many inmates are let out, what do they do on the complex, how many truckloads of wood do we deliver, all that kind of stuff. Is there any way of monitoring what the inmates are used for?
Well, these 2 things right here is what we do, and inmates generally with these 2 departments, water and sewer inmates are used very little. These 2 departments are the ones that the inmates are used for, and they're used a good percentage of almost all these activities that we talk about.
Okay.
If we can look at how many receipts for how many deliveries we have if we need to get, go back and figure all that out. I don't know what it's accomplishing.
Yeah.
And to how many hours they do everything, they come out and they work for us. I don't know. I guess I would request, if we're going to keep all this information, I need a recording secretary to follow us around to add it all up.
I agree. Go ahead.
I agree with Will. I mean, Will's job is to manage the farm, not to be a bookkeeper. Does it really make any difference what the inmates do during the day, or how many come out? Or we've got better things to do than to keep track of all of that. And if the delegation wants to micromanage the situation, let them come and sit and watch and count themselves. Will's got enough to do, and Jason have enough to do, and I agree. The record keeping is more than adequate.
In the typical summer day, we can get inmates out, and I send some picking blueberries, some picking vegetables for 2 hours in the morning. Then they go and mow lawns for a couple hours while they're waiting for the hay to dry. And then once we start baling hay, they could be baling hay, putting that in the barn, loading, and then after that's done, loading a truck for a wood delivery for the next day.
Yeah.
So they can be doing multiple tasks in one day. It's whatever needs to be accomplished.
I think we do the best we can. That's all.
Next requested item.
Excuse me, well, while we're at it, and it really doesn't have much to do with you, but does with us. Why haven't we heard from the man that pays us to tap the trees for maple syrup?
I don't know.
Have you?
I haven't heard from him. I don't know what is the normal practice if he normally comes and sees the commissioners.
I don't know.
He normally
My
has
first
sent
term.
a card requesting that he be able to tap trees, and we have sent back saying that it's, I forget the cost per tap, if it's 75 cents a tap, or,
You guys
Some
went up a
figure.
year ago, or 2 years ago, you went from 25 cents to either 50 or 75.
yeah, and then we also went to, instead of payment, that if he would give us 2 gallons or a certain amount of maple syrup, that we could use as a raffle or something,
Yep.
to generate
Did we get
more
those?
income. No, we haven't.
My experience
Have
with,
you got a contact with him?
I have a number he's extremely hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
The best way I've had to contact is actually just go up to the sap house when it's running, or catch one of the guy, he sends out his boys to collect the sap a lot of times, I believe.
Yeah.
My dealings with him basically is every year he shows up. I've never received any type of syrup. All that's come in
No payola.
is no, and there's never been any syrup exchanged in my 5 years here, not to me. All that he comes and pays me, usually cash every year. I write him a receipt, and I turn that money in that goes into our wood production line for revenue.
Yeah.
And it's usually, I want to guess, in the couple hundred, a little over $200 range that he sends every year that I've been here. So
We
that's
just follow up on it when you get a
Sure.
chance to find out. And we need to probably put something in writing as to the arrangements that we have with him.
okay.
He's the guy that has the sap house up on the top of Wakefield Hill, I believe, right?
Yes, just about across from the Chinese restaurant there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next thing was to give a list of our vehicles, conditions, years, mileage, when we bought them, did we buy them new? It was a long paragraph to ask about this stuff, so I tried to fit it all in the best I can. The first one is the Ford F-350, just to give an example of what I wrote in there. It's a 2010 Ford F-350 with a plow, purchased new in the fall of 2009. Overall, the condition is good. We're getting new tires. We budgeted to get new tires for it this year. Due to all the plowing, the tires don't last as long, because as you'll see, we're around 30,000 miles on the vehicle. The vehicle is used for plowing and things that you would use a pickup for, and general transportation and staff,
Yep.
of staff and inmates. We have a 2012 3/4 ton HD with the plow and the sander, basically the same thing, half the mileage. We have the 2003 New Holland backhoe. I know that was purchased used. I don't know if it was the same year as 2003 or 2004, but it was used, but it was like new, I believe, from the information I've gathered. We needed to put a new back tire on it this year, which we have budgeted for. The hours on the vehicle or the tractor are 2,363 hours. This is the only loader we have on the complex, so it's used for any and all types of loader accomplishments, which can be pushing snowbanks back, loading salt, sand, gravel transfers, log lifting, ash removal, on a probably at least monthly, if not every couple times a month, we go over to the pellet boiler and take the ashes out. And I don't want to keep taking much time, but we got lawnmowers, snow blowers and such. Farm vehicles, you wanted to know what was the difference between a farm vehicle and a maintenance vehicle. So I tried to list those out as best I can. We have the 2005 GMC, which was purchased new in 2008, which the years don't line up if you were first looking at that, but it was a leftover that sat on the lot, and we purchased it new in 2008, but it's a 2005. Vehicle has about 20,000 miles. Primary use is for delivery of hay and wood products. It's also used here on the complex for hauling grass and dirt and other things on the complex. We have the two tractors. We got the 4030, which is the bigger tractor that's used for the majority of the things that we do. It's also the tractor that has more horsepower and better condition. Got the smaller tractor that's primarily just used now for raking hay, pulling hay wagons and tedding, because we got the new wood processor. It used to have the job of running the old wood processor, but now with the new processor, we don't need it for that, which is a good thing, because that tractor is getting older and worn. As you can see, I put fair condition because it does what it needs to be done. but it's not a great condition tractor. Another question you asked about is yard trucks, and if we have a yard truck, because we did request for that. We have 2 old trucks. One's a 1995 with a flatbed. The frame is almost rusted all the way through, and it's used here on the complex. Right now, we've been using it very little, if any, due to the rusted frame. The 1980 green GMC truck was used for delivery all those years. It's now, the dump body is rusted completely through. You can't lift it anymore. The wood is also rotted. Almost half of the bed is rotted through.
That truck has been rehabbed a number of times. We certainly have gotten our money out of that truck.
So those, to answer his question on yard trucks, that would be the 2 that we have that need to be replaced, that we suggested to buy one to replace both of them. Then we got the wood processor, we got the mower conditioner, the baler, side delivery rake, which is in poor condition, that we asked this year to have replaced, a tedder, and then I've listed several of the different attachments below that we have. Most of them are all in decent working condition for what they're used for. They're not used every day. If they were used every day, the condition might drop, but they accomplish the tasks that we have here. This is just more of a for review. He asked to know what, how much, when. We delivered for vegetables to
This
the
is in
nursing
the
home.
annual report, right?
In the annual report, I put the income, total income, but that includes what we sell off the complex also. So
Okay.
this is an accurate, this came from Howie, emailed this to me. I just went in and added the quantity because he wanted to know how many pounds and everything that we delivered to. So pounds and pints for blueberries are listed on that. One of the last things is the mileage. He had a question about mileage, how we charge mileage, which I know I've explained different times. Mileage charges for hay deliveries are built into the price of the hay, so we add an extra 75 cents per bale for the delivery. All of our miles are within 20 to 25 miles is what I usually say, which 25 miles on the farm. After that, there's an additional 50 cents per mile charged, and I don't think in my time that we've done more than 1 or 2 hay deliveries that are past the 25-mile range. Wood deliveries, that's built into the price of the cord of wood. Again, if it's more than 25 miles, we do a 50-cent mile charge. Campfire wood are set at certain prices per location. I basically looked at how far they're away, and I came up with a cost that would cover our fuel. And I talked with the person from the state to make sure we're on the same page, that he knows that we're going to charge that. So certain locations, majority that we deliver to are about $75. If the price of diesel exceeds $5, I told them we'd have to revisit that price. That has gone up. When we first started, we were about $50, but the price of diesel has gone up, so we had to go up to $75. There are some, like White Lake, which is within less than 25 miles, so we don't charge them fuel mileage. And there are some that are farther away. I've charged up to $135 for a load in the past for further campgrounds. And the last thing I have is what I tried to do, what you talked about at the beginning, is the labor breakouts for each employee the best I can. You know, and these vary seasonally, and they can vary daily, depending on the tasks that are at hand. The numbers you reported to your subcommittee the other day were based on what I told you that I probably spend most of my time. Yeah. And then we have Wayne's and Mark's and Joe's on what they spend their time on. Mark on the water and sewer, this might be a little higher right now than what he actually does, but I'm slowly transitioning him into responding to different situations that go on, so that we can slowly train him on stuff also. Some of the, well, I don't want to get into how they want to have percentages match salaries. I mean, we've tried to do that the best we can, and I guess that's someone else to figure out. So. Yep. And that was pretty much all I had. I don't know if there's anything else that the commissioners would
Will, the only thing, and you've done it before, maybe it just needs to be updated, and that is a 5-year plan.
Yep.
Okay? Not something that you have to do right away, but we need to have some kind of a business plan as to where we want to be each year for the next 5 years. Replacement of vehicles, whatever else is being planned, whether we're going to have a greenhouse next year or that kind of a thing. Just update, I think you did this once before. Just try to update it a little bit for a 5-year plan starting in 2014. Okay.
Could I ask
Sure.
a question? Is it possible that one of these times, I've talked about this with Lynette, and I struggle with it. Is it possible at one of these times on your work session that we could plan for me to be here and work on that? Because I can create a path, but if I can create a path, but if the commissioners don't support it, or if the commissioners support it and the delegation doesn't, and we don't have the funding to go to that path.
But we have a plan. What they're looking for is a plan, and if they don't fund it, that's not our problem, it's their problem. But we need to have a plan.
Right. But I would just like if we could.
But I think we could give you some guidelines. You come up with something so that we can discuss it, and then we'll help you out.
Come
Okay.
in
Okay?
any time and we talk about it.
What's that?
He can come in any time and we talk about it.
Yep. Yep. Thank you for all that work. Hopefully, we don't have to do this every year.
I hope not.
You've got it all documented.
Shame of it, some of it's stuff that he's given to the individuals years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously didn't get read.
So we will have a special binder for farm maintenance, sewer, and water, so that anybody has any questions,
In the book.
they can look at the book.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Will.
Thank you very much, Will. You're doing a great
did-
job.
you did a great
I'm very
job.
pleased with the work, what you're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll have a good day.
Okay. Lynette? I put on the agenda, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
I
Some
actually,
kind of a cell phone, how do we designate who has cell phones?
well, and that was.
And that depends on the departments.
Right, and that was the direction that I was going to ask of the board. How would you like to proceed forward with this? If you would like, I could reach out to the other counties to find out what the other county administrators and the other counties do as far as designating who is allowed to have a cell phone and how it is paid for from the other counties, but.
How it's paid for, maybe, but I guess I would look at the needs of this county.
Yeah.
As to how many the jail should have, why they should have it. And I think that's the critical point. If we can give a good reason as to why they should have it, that's good enough.
Yeah, and I think along with Kathy Gary's description of who has them and how many
Yep.
each department has, if that is, what the board needs to show
React to.
the necessity of and the needs of the department, I think that would be
Yeah.
fine. I know that Commissioner Babson and I could work on coming up with a statement also regarding the usage, who has it, paying for it, and that. So we could-
Yeah, I guess I'm always tied up with being consistent. We need to have a policy that is consistent. If we're paying $50 for one, why aren't we paying $50 for the other? Or if we're paying 20 for one, why aren't we paying 20 for everybody?
Right.
That kind of a thing, just to be consistent.
Yeah. So if there's a
And fair.
stipend being paid versus being an entire line being paid.
Yeah.
we can
And
come up with
the
that.
question came up, well, if we pay $50 or $20 towards a cell phone, are they using it privately or is it using just for business? I don't know how to do that. I mean, we either pay for the whole thing and it's strictly business, county business. If we're paying a partial of it, then they can use it whatever they want. So,
Yep.
And how many minutes?
go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, over my vacation, I spent a little time trying to come up with a cell phone policy. I had some help on it, I will admit, and some arguments. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it.
Go ahead.
I came up with two alternatives. The first one, it shall be the policy of Carroll County to provide cell phones and service plans for employees who meet at least one of the following criteria. Position requires on-call availability after normal shift hours. Position requires time-sensitive communication where delay would jeopardize outcomes. And the third one is position warrants privacy for employees' personal security. That's alternative one. Alternative two, it shall be the policy of the county to provide cell phones and service plans for all department heads. Cell phones and/or service plans will only be provided for other positions if the following is demonstrated. If any of the following. Position requires on-call availability after shift hours, or position requires time-sensitive communication where a delay will jeopardize the outcome, or positions warrant privacy for employees' personal security, and the alternative line in this one is, or the Board of Commissioners grants approval. So if they're having a special exception. I think we have two issues here. We have, and I tried to get some guidance from the delegation, but they didn't seem to want to provide it to us, so we do the work, and they may not like the program. But we have the person that needs the phone all the time for business and uses it for their private business. Or we have the person that just uses the phone, has their personal phone and takes a business call here. I think it's irresponsible of us to think that a person's going to carry two cell phones, although I know there's some people around here that do. I personally would rather see the department heads get a phone for business, and if it is also their private phone, then they contribute a little bit. Perhaps that should be the policy, my feeling across the board. The sheriff has, each one of the sheriff's people has a cell phone. Do they all have private cell phones at home? And if they don't, can we assume that they're using the cell phones for private business?
I'm not sure that we can ask that question whether they have it at home or not. I think all we're looking at is what the county is paying for their cell phone, whether they should have a county cell phone for emergency purposes. What they use at their home is up to them.
Well, it's up to them, but also if this is their private phone as well as the county phone, I think we have a right to ask the question, is this your only cell phone? Or do you give this out as your cell phone, your private cell phone? I think there's some real issues here, including privacy, security, the whole 9 yards. It's going to take some thinking.
Yep. Yes, Howie.
An observation, if staff own their own phones, the county is free of the responsibility if it gets lost or broken.
Yeah.
So you're just dealing with a fixed cost. The staff member, I know at Mountain View, Becky will carry two phones because she wants them to be completely separate. I find it easy to take a stipend, but if I lose my phone, break my phone, and have to replace or upgrade my phone, that's all on me. Because the monthly part's going to be constant. So there's something to be said for the county not taking on the responsibility for loss or damage.
But on the other hand, should something be discussed over the cell phone that then leads to a lawsuit, we cannot get the records if it's a private, partially private phone. If it's all paid by the county, then we have the records here. So.
Now, one could argue that those of us getting a stipend would be obligated to waive that right of privacy.
Well, that's possible.
In consideration of getting a stipend. And I know I would.
Yeah.
Because that'd be only reasonable. I mean, the county needs to for protection purposes, I assume, have that kind of access. Now, the alternative would be going like Becky does and carrying 2 phones.
Yeah, yeah. From the list that I saw, I don't see any that should or could be deleted. I think most of those people that have one need it to get in contact with, whether it's snow plowing or whether it's maintenance. Jail have to be in contact with people. I mean, it's...
We have
Sewage
only
has to work.
3 plus 2 that are only used by nursing, that are handed off from shift to shift.
Mhm. Anyway,
But we'll continue working on
yeah.
it.
Okay, you got anything else for us this morning?
Not till later.
Okay. 11 o'clock, yeah, I think we ought to hold off our work session and go into non-public. With the jail,
Yes.
okay?
So we're doing the non-public first?
I'll make a motion that we go into non-public session for the purposes of A3, paragraph 2, parentheses C, with the
For personnel at the jail.
personnel at the jail.
I'll second the motion, have a roll call?
Mr. Kenney?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes,
Mr. Babson?
Yes.
and so voted. Public session. I will report that in the non-public session, we did seal the minutes. Now, the next item on the agenda is work session.
Okay. Here we have 2 letters of engagement, Ron says it be 3. Yesterday, Mr. Bulio was here with his young assistant, who is doing the work here. 2011 is the only thing needed from us, notes, and that will be complete. So we don't have to worry about that. It's unfortunate that Mr. Lyford has been very ill, hasn't completed the information. But we have 2012 that we have to do both the financial statement and the audit. Mr. Bulio says that he will need $15,000 more to do the financial statement. And he's already been given the money for, or appropriated the money for the contract for 2012 to do the audit. So we have to sign those letters of engagement and agree to pay him somewhere up to $15,000 for the financial statement so that he can do for 2012, so that he can do the audit for 2012, which he already has the money, for which he already has the money. Now we get into the component of Medicaid or Medicare. One of them has to have the report in by the 30th of March.
Turn your mic.
Oh, okay. Have to have it by the 30th of March. And we're coming down to the deadline. That requires additional monies, and it's not in the budget. What do?
Well, if we don't do it, then we're gonna lose out on money coming from the feds.
We're gonna lose out on the
Medicare?
reimbursement.
I
We
don't
gotta
think-
do that.
I don't think we got a choice.
No.
Okay, what are we talking about, that Medicaid reimbursement? We're talking about 2013?
13. Gotta be done by
Okay.
the end of the
So
month.
he is going to do also the audit of 2013?
13, you got the 12.
It's at 12.
I
It's
got
at
the
12
13.
here. Oh, okay.
I believe you have the financial statement. I haven't read it, but is it for the
It
financial
said
statement? or the-
accounting service engagement letter 2012. So, and what do you have?
This is the 13.
Okay,
Could I just look at this 13-year date? for
so
a
we have
second?
two different years. I have just a question. It was my understanding that John Lyford did the financial statements of 2011 and 2012, and that the county paid him. And are we going to get refunded? We should ask our money back, because if we have to pay now a different company to do the financial statements of 2012,
Well,
it costs much
2011,
more.
2011 is completed. You two were here for 2011 is completed. 2012, I wasn't here. I don't believe that we've been doing, Commissioner, you say you look at the invoices. I don't believe that we've been paying Mr. Lyford for any more than what he's done.
I
And we
just
haven't
like,
paid in advance.
I just like to know the exact amount what he got paid for 2011 and 2012 statements.
2011 is done. That's
Okay.
2012.
Just like to know also, because if you look at the budget, and I asked before, I was told $15,000 for 2011 and $15,000 for 2012. And I just like to know the exact amount, if that is correct.
Yeah, you can-
Also, I don't understand, I'm a little bit confused, because it's my understanding that John Lyford was working for a company from out Manchester or Concord, and he was doing the audits here or the financial statements for years. And then he got retired from the company, I believe it was in 2010. Who made that decision to go with him, the person who is retired, and that the county doesn't stay with the company, the audit company? It is very strange to me how this works. We are now in a big mess. We don't have the financial statements. We are in 2013. We're looking for the statements for 11 and 12. If we had stayed with the
11 has
audit
already been
company-
done.
Yeah, no. if
Forget
we
about
had-
11.
If we had stayed
It's
with a
12.
company, then we didn't have this. Why are we going for the county business, a governmental unit, where someone is retired and doing it part-time at his house? Understand the statements are at his house and we need to get it. Why is it not done by a professional audit company? I just don't get that.
Well,
I
you
don't
tell
know-
us, you voted for it last year.
I don't know who made that decision.
Well, you did.
It was a,
I was
You
told,
did and David did.
I
It was
was
at the
told
board.
that he worked and that it is the audit company. They never told me he was retired. Later, I called there and I find out, and he told me he is not working for the audit company, that he is retired.
so he did the financial statement, and the auditing had to be done by a different company.
And who was the different company? Who did he audit then?
That wasn't done.
Wasn't done.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, but the years before, I mean, you have 2008.
And the law
9.
got changed. The law was changed so that he couldn't do both of them. It was a case of having an audit look at to make sure that the financial statement was done right. And that's why this company has two different divisions, one a financial statement division and one an auditing division, if I understand it.
Well, they have the ability to do both of those and
Yeah,
somehow and not get them.
okay. So,
And he will do the same thing. Mr. Lyford sent the financial statements to Mrs. Grimm, Mrs. Grid, whatever her name was. They checked them out, and Mr. Bulio will do the same thing.
okay, do I hear a motion? They've got to be done.
What is the motion?
The motion is to agree to that contract.
So
That the auditing be
motion
done on
is-
2012.
I thought we already had that. We already made a motion and hired him for the audits of 2011 and 12.
Yes, that is
So-
done. This is for the.
So we
This
just
is
signed
just-
it.
This is just, it is different. This is now just for the financial statements
Yes,
of
it is.
2012.
That is just, if I haven't read it, but if you pass it over to me, I'll read it, because he was
Because
sending
we
us.
already hired him for the audit for 2011 and 12.
Okay, so all we have to do is sign it.
So No, you need to make a new motion if he has to do now separate the financial statements.
Yes, and that's what this is. And we have to pay him for the financial statement. Hopefully, we haven't paid Mr. Lyford. And I don't know what happens if you didn't pay him out of, I wasn't here. I had nothing to do with it. In fact, I was the one that found out that it wasn't done.
So
But I don't know where the money will come from to pay for this for 2012. The budget's closed. We have 2013 we've got to come up with.
Okay. So if we're in
I want to
agreement,
read that, make sure it's a financial statement, David. I haven't read it and grabbed it from you.
But you're signing the contract for the audit work, yes?
Yes, we have.
This is the financial statements of 2012. I just wonder, where are the financial statements there from 2012? Because those were also done. We didn't get it, but they were done.
They were not
So
done.
suddenly,
I don't believe they were done.
so now it's not done?
Not
That's
done.
my understanding. So everybody agrees that I can sign this
No, I want to read.
for
I wanna read
2012?
it.
There's one copy for each of you in each paper clip.
Can't hear you, sorry.
There's a copy for each of you in that paper clip. There's
Oh,
three
I'm
copies.
sorry.
Oh, you have,
Okay,
oh, okay,
okay.
so, okay.
So
Okay.
you could each read it.
He said, Wynette, that he was sending 3. And I think the third one is for the 2013 Medicaid that has to be in by March 30th.
So so we have a 2012 financial statements, and we have a 2013. Is that both, is it 2013 is financial statements and audit?
I see no difference between the 12 and the 13.
Well,
They're
the
exactly the same.
He's probably going to do the financial statements then, that is included.
Yes, I believe so too.
Okay, so if I read this properly, the 2013, he is providing us not only with the
Financial.
information we need for the 30th, but the financial statements for the whole year, for the entire year. How do you want the motion?
That one contract deals with the Medicaid issue and, or the Medicare issue.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
took out,
Does-
that the Medicaid issue is with the nursing home.
Right,
It's just, we have to have the audit done so that they can get reimbursed over there. So it doesn't have anything to do with the
Costs have
Medicaid.
to be in by the 13th,
Yeah.
by the 30th of March. So basically, what we're getting here is a request for 2 financial statements, one for the year of 2012 and one for the year of 2013.
13,
okay.
correct.
I'll make a motion that we hire Ronell Bulio and Company, certified public accountants from Portland, to do our financial statements for the years 2012 and 2013 with a cost not to exceed $15,000
Per year.
per year, or a
And
total
you,
of $30,000.
And, okay. And that you give permission to the chairman to sign it,
And I give permission to the chairman to sign
the documents?
the engagement letter.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed, nay. Okay, unanimous. Then I will sign it.
And there we have no money, you said, so where is this coming
We
from?
will find the money. We'll have to find it. We may have to, carry some money over last year's budget to do it.
We also have to notify Mr. Lyford that we do not need his services anymore.
Okay.
What's so funny about that, Mr. Kenny?
Okay,
Yeah.
that taken care of?
Yep.
All right, we have Hale's location budget that we need to have the delegation approve. And their budget is, their bottom line to be appropriated is $338,203 for the year 2014.
That's the one with the green stripe on it, right?
Yes, got it?
Did you scoop
You got
mine?
yours?
I know, I don't have it. No, I have
Well,
probably
that's the
downstairs.
budget.
So what do we need to do now?
We need to approve that and give it to the delegation for their approval.
Oh, okay.
That's no
Okay.
tax, no county tax dollars go into that. That's strictly Hale's location,
Okay, so I have to look through.
as we are as acting as selectmen in that case. The big item is school tuition. 5 students from Hale's location will be going to Kennett High School, or Kennett School System, at the tune of roughly $37,200. $37,200 per person, per student, I should say. We will, this would be for next year, we will talk with Freiburg Academy and see what the possibilities are of students going there. I'm sure at a reduced, a figure less than what the Kennett School System is charging Hale's location. On the other hand, we also would have to pick up transportation. But I think that's something that we can work with the association and see if we can do it so that the kids would go to Freiburg Academy. Now, as you recall, last year there was one family that said, I believe he was a senior and wanted to finish his year at Kennett,
Yep.
did not want to go to Freiburg Academy. And so that could be a problem again this coming year. So that's something that we've got to work on.
It's roughly $37,200 for per student a year.
And the reason for that is we do not pay any capital expenditures for the new high school, any additions, rehabs of the other schools. It's strictly a straight tuition fee.
But you haven't brought up the major problem, David. That's for 5 students, and there's a different rate for the elementary school students than the high school students. They just wrote us a letter and announced they're raising the fee to Kennett to $55,000 for a high school student.
I haven't seen that. Have you seen a letter?
Yeah,
Oh, I haven't
you
seen
had it. Was on. I put it on your desk.
Okay, I
They
haven't
were
seen it.
raising it to $55,000 for one student for a year. Why don't they just skip high school and go to Harvard?
Well, no question, we've got to do some talking with Freiburg Academy.
Okay.
We're not going to be paying $55,000 a student. I mean, for that amount of money, we can send them to Freiburg Academy and pay a bus.
I know
To
you
take
saw
them.
it because you told me you had to call up and make sure there wasn't a typographical error.
Well, I did talk with the president of the association, who told me that they were going to be charging $50,000. That's all I heard.
Oh, no, maybe it was 50, but I thought it was 55, okay.
But I haven't seen anything in writing. If you got it in writing, tell me where you put it on my desk if you did
I'll
that.
see if I can find it.
Okay. But it's just plain ridiculous. Okay?
Yep.
You've seen it?
Yep.
What's your pleasure? I would make a motion that we accept the budget of $3,380 No.
$338.
$338,203 to be appropriated for Hales location budget.
I'll second the motion.
And that we bring it to the delegation for their final approval. Any further discussion? All
Yes.
those- Yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't under the impression we had to bring it to the delegation. I thought we
Yeah.
were the selectmen and we made the final.
We're the
decision.
selectmen, but we have to bring it to the delegation.
Okay.
And why does it go to the delegation?
Because they approved the budget. If you look at a town, you put together a budget for the town, the selectmen would approve it, but they gotta go to the town meeting
Yep.
for a vote. So in this case, we go to the delegation for a vote, okay? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, then so voted.
Can I just have the numbers? How much?
So we'll bring that up on the 17th, and make sure that it goes on the agenda. Meanwhile, I will have coffee with the president of their association and see if we can't work out something with Freiburg Academy,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
All right, what else we got for a work session?
I contacted Time Warner and they'll be in March 12th at 10 o'clock to discuss what they can do for us in a phone service,
Okay,
for phone service. I responded to Mr. Representative McConkey's request for the average price of propane for 2013, and it was a $1.41 a gallon. And when you add in our last two deliveries in this year, it raises it already to $100.51. As you reported, Mr. Chairman, they don't do any pre-buys until August. I think if that's the way the delegation wants to go, that they, I guess we won't have a problem if they come up with the money, by August, will they? Will there be enough in it after we've paid for 3 months of fuel here and then have to pre-buy for the following year? Are they gonna have enough in it? They've got enough money in it for heat for through the end of 2013. They don't have enough money in it for a pre-buy for the entire year.
I don't know the answer to that question, but what, you said $1.41 a gallon?
Yep.
$1.41.
$1.41.
Not $2.41. I thought.
Excuse me.
I thought
said
somebody said.
$1.41?
You said $1.41.
Well, I got the sheet downstairs and I'll look at it. I thought it was $1.41.
Because I thought somebody said we were paying $2.90 per gallon now.
Yeah, it must be a printing error because it was $2 and something cents, $2.09,
$5 or $9,
206, very low. So yeah.
And then it went up to $2.90.
I got to check those figures because that's what Kathy gave me on the sheet.
Okay. All right.
And Commissioner Kenney, this is the third week you've done the checks and you don't put down any reason why you're not signing them. Could you tell us why, please? Makes my job much easier.
Yep.
Is
Okay,
there a
I
reason
have
why?
something,
Well, what's the reason?
Is the reason why you're not signing checks?
I don't understand. I came last Thursday and I signed checks.
Yeah, you left 3 that you didn't sign.
Oh, okay, maybe, I don't
When
know.
was cell phones?
They're all cell phones.
All cell
Oh,
phones?
okay, I have to see which one. Maybe I don't support cell phones. I made that clear at the beginning in 2011. I have to see which one. 3 cell phones?
3 cell phone bills.
Oh, okay, I have
So
to check it
because
out.
the delegation approved the budget, you don't sign it?
I have to check it out, what it is.
Okay.
With
You had them there in
cell
front of you. What did you do with them? You didn't check them out then? You didn't sign them?
I don't know, you said it were 3. I don't know if I see all of them. I have something to bring up of the jail,
Okay.
if you both are done. I believe it was a couple weeks ago, we had, I don't know if he is sergeant, but we have the employee from the jail over, I believe it was Baker. We were talking about RIAS, the program, let me see, it calls Relays
or
learning.
something like
yes, yes.
Yeah.
It was about a waiver, and then we had to wait the other month, and then he came up with a flyer, and he brought up all his losses. I talked to the Relays Learning Company, and they say that they have only 2 contracts in the state of New Hampshire, and they're trying to get more contracts.
Mhm.
And in the month of January, they added a new library, law enforcement library. So they had a special going on that if you sign up in January, they're going to give you free spots. In a special, they put at that time 15 spots, what you are getting.
Mhm.
She said the total value of that was $1,500. She doesn't know and understand how Baker come up with his numbers
Of 27,000?
about the loss. So she said that was inaccurate. And she said the cost, what they offer for the jail, the program itself just stayed the same. The only thing what they didn't have in February and March in those 2 months is some free spots what they throw out because they put in a 7-year contract just to get a contract. I get an email from Jason Henry that they sent the RFP, or Baker said they sent the RFP out to 3 different companies. I talked to the other company, and the company name what they gave me was, let me see, I think it is, was it Critical In? Anyway, they sent it to me, and I called the company, and CNET or something. And they told me they never received any RFP from the jail.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Don't you think Jason should be here to hear
That
this
is what
discussion?
that is what I asked them when they were
Well,
here.
they were here, you didn't say
Are they
anything.
out there?
I asked them when they were here that I was going to talk about the jail if they want to come
Why
to
don't we
work
hold off
session.
till they're here and they can
We'll
talk
have
about
Okay,
it?
let somebody then ask them to come over. I don't know if.
Well, we'll have them come to next week.
Well, I can talk today, and I can talk next week again. I can bring it up
I
again.
don't wanna listen to you twice.
No,
in
let's
a
wait
row.
till next week.
Oh,
Let's wait till next week. You're just checking figures, right?
no, that is what they told me now. It is very quick, and the information what they gave to me, they never got the RFP, and I told them
David,
what
didn't
we
we just
needed.
say we'd wait till those two
Yeah,
would come
let's
over
wait
here?
till next week, okay? What else you got? You got anything else?
Let me see if I have it here.
Who did you say was coming in on telephone?
Time Warner,
Time Warner?
at 10 o'clock.
Got anything else?
I believe we got, I don't know if we get an email or there was some talk from Representative Cordelli. He said about the annual reports.
Yeah?
I believe he sent to RSA that we don't need to send all the reports out. We need actually less.
But we did, we ordered 125 copies versus 160.
But I think that can even further reduce.
What's that?
That can even further reduce now, according.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
It can be further reduced according to the RSA.
Further reduced?
Yes. I
you know,
think he sent an email. Did you read what he sent?
yeah, he wanted it reduced by,
But
down
there
from
is
160.
also a RSA that it only go, I don't know if the Secretary of State.
Goes
and
by the
just go
RSA.
to all the
Right.
towns, and it
Right.
can be on the website.
And we're gonna send it to all libraries. I think that is our annual report. We have to follow the RSA's, but nothing says we can't send it out further. And that, I think we wanna be as transparency as possible. If the delegation didn't put in so many pages in their minutes, we could reduce the cost. But otherwise, it should go to all libraries, and we should be as transparent as possible with our annual report. So
Well,
it was reduced from 160 down to 125. And we reduced the cost, I forget, it's somewhere around $500 now. And by the way, it's less than 5,000, so we don't have to go out for bid for it. We did go out for bid, and we only got one bid back. So,
And he also had the wrong information. He said there's nothing in the law that says you have to print it, and it is. It is in the law. It says you have to print it, and it has to go to the Secretary of State.
yep.
Yeah, and just
State
the
library.
towns.
Okay, anything else to be brought up?
No,
I was just wondering why Commissioner Kenney photocopied all of the invoices from last week and all the material.
which thing?
Did you photocopy all the invoices from last week?
All the material?
If I have to photocopy all the invoices, that would be such a stack.
Yeah.
The
So,
girls in the office said you photographed a whole bunch of stuff from the checks.
information, if I don't read it immediately, I sometimes make a copy, but I didn't photocopy the whole stack. And
Okay.
information's from the invoice.
Well,
And
why
it's
do-
more
why do you
when I
need 'em,
photocopy, it's more like if there is a right to know where they ask for that or the information. That is what I'm more photocopy.
The situation is that we have the invoices available to all three of us. All we have to do is ask for them.
Yeah, so I don't.
We
need to
don't have to make
photocopy.
copies
No, I
of 'em.
don't. No,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. If we make copies of them, then it's probably going to somebody, if it's going to a constituent, they need to pay the 25 cents a page.
No.
Anyway, so, all right, anything else we need to bring up? We got a new subcommittee for the Sheriff's Department. That's coming up. The nursing home subcommittee, I believe, is meeting next Monday at 9:30.
Not new committees, new.
Not a new
meeting.
committee, I'm sorry, but a
Just
new
the nursing.
schedule for the subcommittees. I believe everybody should have been sent one to the internet, to the computer. And Commissioner Kenney, you need to go to the sheriff's one. And I will try to go to the nursing home.
The sub-meeting?
Is the jail all done? Subcommittee?
Yes, as far as I know, they haven't scheduled any new meetings, so it's done.
The administration building, the commissioner's budget, the HR budget, capital expenditures, and so forth, that's all done. That was done Monday afternoon. So,
Mr. Chairman, what do we do with, and of course, the delegation has the right to do whatever they want, they're in charge of the budget, but to cut the supplies for this building by 50%?
did they?
Yeah, I believe they did. They took $1,500 out of Jeremy, and it wasn't that bigger, I don't have my budget book with me, but it wasn't that large to begin with.
She wrote up the minutes and sent us a copy as to where the cuts were made. We need to review that and go and talk with Jerry and see if he can live with it. If he can't, then we'll have to bring it up on the 17th. I think it's the 17th. And get it reinstated if we've got good reason to do it. It's only the subcommittee recommendation.
Right.
The full board would have to act on it. Anything else?
Not for me.
Seeing none, open it up to the public. Yes, go ahead.
You actually did, you started to mention some of the subcommittees and that there is a new subcommittee of the delegation to look at the county administrator piece. So that
Oh.
Representative Schmidt, I believe.
Schmidt is the chairman of the
A newly
subcommittee to
formed-
look at
Yeah.
a administrative
County administrator.
person. Yeah. While you mentioned that, would you get the salaries of all the administrators from the other counties? And send that to, give us a copy, but send it to Representative Schmidt? Anything else? Open it up to the public? Public input? Yes, Melissa?
Oh, she's got a handful. She's got a handful of questions, we're in trouble. Oh, it's just a pad.
Some time ago, you were planning on, after a commissioners meeting, going downstairs, and the three of you were going to unlock the magical file cabinet that holds the non-public meeting minutes, and
Right.
you're gonna take an inventory of that, and you're all gonna have keys from now on. How's that going?
What we did was we got a safe from over at the old nursing home. That is presently in the commissioner's office. As soon as we can get a, what do you call them? Locksmith to come in. We got the combination works, but the bolt on the bottom of the door doesn't lift up enough to pull it out. The top two bolts work. So once that gets done, then all the records go in there.
To answer your question, we have not got we do not have a set of keys.
Why?
Keeper of the keys has not given us one.
Oh, okay. Can I ask Commissioner Kenney why? I think she's the keeper of the keys.
Well, anytime the board wants a few non-public minutes, we make a motion, we go into non-public session, and we review.
No, we don't have to do that.
And review the non-public minutes as a board. And the original should never leave the place, the safe. It should never leave. So we can look at it in non-public session. If they say they want to have a copy, they can get a copy. Like a couple weeks ago, they wanted to have the key, they wanted to go in it, but I made copies for the attorney who wanted to have copies, and she got the copies.
Okay. Is there an RSA or a county policy that prohibits the other two commissioners from having access to that cabinet?
No,
And if so, could you tell me where or what it is?
no.
Apparently there is one that we don't know about.
Okay, because I couldn't find anything that is that specific about access to records. Okay.
There's, as far as I know, there's no reason why any commissioner couldn't look at the non-public minutes. We've looked at them before, we approved them as a board, and we should be able to look at them at any time. And we should all have a key to that safe.
And with that said, Commissioner Sorensen has all the settlements here of the county, and he has it in his locked file cabinet, and I don't have access to that, and I don't also have a key of it.
As soon as the safe is there, all the documents will be in the safe. The three of us will each have a combination, and we can look at them.
Okay.
They're available.
Maybe when the locksmith comes, you could have the lock changed on that file cabinet at the same time. I don't know.
No,
Get you right in there.
if everything goes in a safe, it is in a safe.
Sorry if I
Where
jump
it
around, I've
belongs.
just been taking notes as you've been meeting with the different people, so.
Okay.
These are on different topics, but there was a list that Representative McConkey presented, and Will was able to fulfill some of those questions, answer some of those questions and fulfill the request for information. But it's my understanding, although it might be difficult to determine exactly how many hours the inmates spend doing each task,
Yeah.
I think part of Representative McConkey's question was, are the inmates being used to boil pig food or care for the pigs, which are the farm manager's own personal and private project?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Mr. McConkey.
Or are they still being used to do that? Because I know that
Mr.
they have.
McConkey's been told, I don't know how many times, that Will does it on his own time, after hours. If Mr. McConkey was paying attention, he'd know that they're not boiling any swill at all anyway, and they haven't been for about the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And Will is
12
doing
years.
it on his own, and he gets the food from downtown, and he brings it up and feeds the pigs. He does it on his own time, at his own expense. Yes, we probably pay a couple of cents for a light bulb during the day in the winter, and that's about it.
I think,
It's a 3-year project, and this is the 3rd year, and we'll make some decisions at the end of this year.
and I don't mean to jump to the defense of Representative McConkey, except to say that I also received that same information, that the inmates were being used to care for the pigs, so that information is not just coming from Representative McConkey, it's coming from the complex.
The inmates are involved with the pigs?
And they have, if they're not currently, they have been in the recent past. So just so that you're aware that it's not just coming from,
Yeah.
you know, that one representative attacking the farm.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna check that one out. Yep.
2 years ago, in February of 2012, I gave the commissioners a document about the impact that the county complex has on Ossipee and Ossipee Corner as
Right.
it relates. And part of your discussion today was why Commissioner Babson raised the question why the Ossipee Corner Fire Department has to pay the water bill. So I looked back in my notes, and I asked that same question 2 years ago, and the response was that if the fire department doesn't pay for water, then the users have to pick up that cost. Somebody has to pick up the cost of maintaining the system. So either way, the users are going to pay, whether it's through their precinct taxes or through their water bill. I don't know if that satisfies.
Sounds right, sounds right.
That's the answer that Commissioner Sorensen gave me 2 years ago. And so either way, they're gonna pay. So it wasn't worth fighting over the $600 a year that the fire department pays. At that time, it wasn't. I don't know if that's changed.
But there's only certain people down there on the water system. The rest of us in the village district are footing the bill for the entire county.
Right, so as a resident of Ossipee Corner, maybe that's your battle down there, I don't know. Did the commissioners happen to file for an abatement this year on the drainage parcel across from the new nursing home?
For taxes for the town of Ossipee?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
What happened is that the chairman of the delegation has taken that out of the commissioner's budget and is being applied to the water department, to the nursing home, and to the farm. It's split up. And it's like $800 to the farm. Don't quote me. It's either $500 or $800 to the farm. Most of it goes to the water department because it's the buildings and the complex that's up on the mountain, the storage facility, and the building where we treat the water before it leaves the mountain. So that's where the major tax is. I did check with another county. We do have to pay taxes on property owned by the county in the town that the property is located. There's some special law which you may want to look up and research. He said there was. I haven't looked at it, looked for it. I just took his word at it because Cheshire County does pay their taxes to the Westmoreland, I think it is.
And I think other counties do as well. I know that Stratford does. They pay some portion because you can only exempt for property that you're actually using for purposes. So all this excess land that you have, it seems only reasonable you'd have to pay a current use tax if nothing else. And also on the income producers like the water system and the farm, you're running a business, so perhaps that land and those buildings should be taxable as well. That makes sense. But
yeah.
Well, there's two issues. There's two issues, Melissa. Most of the land here is in current use. You put the water basin in for the jail, it takes it out of current use. It's no longer considered open space. The use has been changed, and so that's removed from. Same situation with the well water and the pipes underground, and they all come out. They are not allowed in current use, and so we have to pay a higher ad valorem tax rate on those items.
I was just following up on some information I brought to you a few months ago that you're paying property taxes on a section of land across the street from the nursing home that you shouldn't be.
That's used.
There's that tiny piece that was taken out of. There was a land use change tax which was waived, but that that went through, and because the drainage system, it's part of the drainage for the new nursing home.
Yep.
So they're taxing you for that at full value, but it shouldn't be taxed because you are. It's being used to support a county facility. So if you file an abatement, you can save about $600 a year. That was my point, and I just wondered if that had happened because
it has not, but I guess we'll look into it. According to our tax maps, up here, that piece of property is taxed, and that it is used for drainage for the new nursing home, and is also an old septic system that is within that property. And there's an agreement with the adjoining owners, should that septic system overflow or spill, goes on their property, we would be covered. And that's the property that's taxed.
Okay. It just seems like an oversight that we're paying taxes on something that the use changed.
Yeah.
Got the bill, just pay it, but don't realize that it's exempt. And I did have a conversation with the assessing clerk at Ossipee, who confirmed if the county just files an abatement, they'll be happy to take a look at it. So.
In fact, a portion of that property is grown up to trees where the septic system was located, and it can't be used for farming either, so it's a non-use piece of property.
Okay. There was some discussion in one of the recent meetings, I forget if it was a subcommittee or a commissioners meeting, about who is eligible for free meals. And there was some information at a meeting that the farm maintenance crew gets free meals. And I'm looking, I actually sent a note downstairs asking in a right-to-know fashion for a copy of the policy as it relates to free meals for non-union employees, but I don't think they were able to find anything.
There is
there a
no
policy about who gets to eat for free?
There is no policy.
Okay.
When the farm crew is supervising inmates, they get the same thing. They get a free meal. That's just like the jail House of Correctional Officers. They get a free meal because they're supervising. They can't just drop and go and get a free meal and leave the inmates there. In our case, what we're doing now is we're keeping the inmates, those that we can let out, they stay out all day, and so they get the meal delivered to the farm maintenance building, and so somebody has to continue to supervise them. So that's where it stands.
I believe one of the delegates Monday, I believe it was Monday's meeting, brought up the fact that free meals are technically a benefit and probably taxable, and that.
Yeah.
So, given that information, I'm wondering what you see the likelihood of free meals continuing in the future. I mean,
I think we got to look into that. That's new to me.
Is it being looked at as being pulled out of this year's union contracts at all? Or?
Can't discuss that because the union contracts are still going on.
Okay. It just seems kind of a mismatch and hassle with nothing.
IRS, that's new to me, and we got to look at the clothing issue too.
Yeah. And some towns are just realizing that, other municipalities, but it's actually been in play for a couple of years, and they're just catching on to that part about the clothes. But, okay. Another silly thing that came up, dental insurance. I overheard from a meeting that the commissioners get single person dental insurance covered by the taxpayers, and I'm told that is about a benefit of about $19 a month per person. I was just wondering first if all three of the commissioners take advantage of that benefit, and also if there are any other, I can't think of a synonym for perks, so we'll just call it that.
Elected officials?
Are there any other perks other than your salary that you receive? Okay.
I do take advantage of it.
Okay.
And I do pay for my wife to be on it also.
Okay.
I don't.
In 2011, when I got just first elected, they brought a flyer to me. They say you can sign up. And at that time I said, okay, it's fine. And I signed up, and later I said, I don't want it, and I canceled that. And it's been brought up again, you can have dental insurance. But it is there, if you get elected, they ask you, it is available, you can sign up for it.
Okay. It was new to me, and I've been following the county for about 15 years, and this is the first I'd heard of it. So.
Well, I mean, all elected officials get it, I think.
If they want it.
sheriff, the register of deeds, I mean, the county attorney, all elected officials, they getting the dental insurance, and I believe they're getting health too.
Dental
So
in-
I think it is an offer what they give them.
Dental insurance is limited to $1,500. And also, it's roughly $100 for 2 cleanings a year, which comes out of that $1,500. You get a filling or something else, or a root canal, $1,500 doesn't pay for it.
David?
Yep.
Am I incorrect? I don't believe it's split 80-20 either. You pay the full amount.
No,
don't
I'll pay
you?
the full amount.
So I think she said that the taxpayer was paying for it. The taxpayer isn't paying for it.
What?
Well, we're paying the
Single.
premium for the single person coverage.
Yep.
About
I
$238
just
a
asked you
year.
that. You said no, that there is no 80-20, that you pay the whole 100.
There's no
I think-
80-20.
I think she's talking about dental insurance, and he's
Strictly
talking about
dental.
health insurance.
Strictly dental.
And
Dental-
but the dental isn't split 80-20
No.
either.
No, the
You
dental, no.
pay the whole amount.
Pay the whole amount for
And
my
she's
wife.
talking about.
I get it.
She said, as the taxpayer's paying for our dental, and the answer is no.
And I
Yes.
understand him to add that he's paying for his spouse.
Look,
His
look.
coverage, so. My only question is this the only other thing beyond your salary and mileage that you receive as a commissioner? You have this one extra little benefit of dental insurance. Is
That's
there
right.
anything else that people who are paying taxes or people who may be considering running for office would need to know is what the whole package looks like?
Yeah, we got a chance to pay our own legal fees.
yeah,
Right?
on anything under 91A, we do not have insurance coverage for. It comes out of our own pocket.
That's kind of a
And that's
warning.
true for all counties. They didn't realize this until about 2 weeks ago. All the commissioners now are upset because they're not covered. And I assume this Friday, they'll be working on something to get coverage.
And the commissioners pays for their own meals also.
Yeah, that's right.
About the 91A suit and at Primex, I attended that meeting, and my understanding was if everyone is getting coverage, the whole state, all the counties, it's between $3 and $5 million. But there was also conversations.
Hear that?
Was also conversations. Yes, that is what
3
he
to
said.
5
A
million?
high number, I remember that.
Yeah, if you want to have this 91A covered.
Okay.
But there was also conversations that it was unusual. A lot of the other counties don't have this 91A. Only 91A is not covered. All the other things
Yeah.
are covered. And there were questions like, how many 91A losses do you have? Do you have 20 or 30? Because what Mike Ricker explained to us, he said, this is not actually something or benefit that you're going to use a lot, or we're going to pay for something, or the other counties, and they're probably not going to use it. Because we don't have a lot of 91As within the other counties.
They don't cover behavior issues. Behavior issues was the term that they used.
Isn't that what
Anything else
insurance is for?
where there's dollars involved and so forth, they cover us. Okay, we all done?
There was some discussion previously about whether the counties might qualify for joining the New Hampshire Municipal Association. And it's my understanding
into
that their insurance covers town officials under 91A suits, so.
I
They
called
do?
them and talked to them the other day. I talked to them the other day, Melissa, and they said they don't.
They don't either?
No, I called them up to
Usually-
see if we could switch.
Then we have some selectmen out in the community that are under the wrong impression on that
Yes.
one, and they should probably be.
Usually
turned around.
91A is not covered though. It's usually not covered.
I just have one last quick question. We're coming up on the March election next week for our local officials, executive counselors, et cetera, school budgets. Pretty soon, it's going to be time to file for county offices and for state rep runs. So I was wondering with the two commissioners whose term is up at the end of this year, if either of them are willing to commit to answering my question of whether they've decided to run again or not.
I'm in for another 3 years, including this year, so I will not be up for reelection.
Okay.
These two will be up for re-election, or if they decide not to run, that's up to them. I think that's their own issue and not something for us to discuss here. If they want to tell you,
Can I
that's fine.
entertain the question, just, I mean, for the public who might be interested? Either of you? Ready to?
Gives me a great deal of pleasure to be able to answer that question and saying that I haven't made a decision, and so I don't have to answer.
You haven't made the decision?
I don't know at this point yet.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. Seeing no other further public input, ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it. All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
So voted. According to the clock, it's like 2012,
It's 2024.
or close enough.